the scientific demon of an anime Omniverse. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51, Touching Porcelain. So, why is our ideal goal so lofty? But our first job is to rob. The morning breeze blew, and the sky became brighter. The autumn morning brought a hint of coolness. Xia Yu walked on the side of the road, wandering and visiting the city of Fuyuki. Justice floated behind Xia Yu, her beauty that was not like that of a human made her look like a fairy, but unfortunately, Xia Yu was the only one who could see her. My former ally has fallen into a monster. In order to win, we must first get rid of him and occupy his base. An ethereal and indifferent voice came from behind. By the way, why do we have to wait a while before going? Isn't it better to just go to the lair and kill him? His real body is not on the lair at the moment, and his magic survival ability is extremely strong. If we can't kill him all at once, it will be very troublesome. Tisk, where's he now? A mile behind. Xia Yu smiled evilly. Hehe. Sakura, we'll be at our new home soon, Matao Zouken said to Tasuka. Matao. Let's call her Sakura first. He said to Sakura, but his smile was really disgusting. Bang squeak, what's going on? Matao Zouken supported Sakura, who leaned forward due to the emergency brake, and asked with a frown. The person driving in front was his nominal son, Matao Churuno. Father, it seems that I hit someone just now, Matao Churuno said in a panic, but the strange thing is that he didn't seem to be panicked about hitting someone, but more like he was afraid of Matao Zouken behind him. What? How did you drive the car? Go and deal with it. Matao Zouken's expression changed slightly, and Matao Churuno became even more panicked, but Matao Zouken did not blame Matao Churuno or anything now. Maybe he was in a good mood. Matao Churuno got out of the car tremblingly. He walked to the front of the car. A boy about 15 years old was lying on the ground. There was no scar on his body, and he even looked at him with his eyes open. Matao Churuno really didn't want to say anything about this kind of acting. Even a fool knew that this guy was doing it on purpose. I remember this should be called a hit and run. But, you don't act like it, Justice floated aside and said coldly. Fuck, Xia Yu's scream scared Matao Churuno, who was originally planning to step forward. Xia Yu's original image suddenly turned into an extremely painful victim. Are you okay? Matao Churuno couldn't help but doubt his judgment just now. Could it be that he had actually suffered serious internal injuries, but just reacted a little slower? This matter is not over yet. Today's matter is not over yet. Xia Yu suddenly rolled on the ground, making himself look a little embarrassed, and even grabbed the front of the car to hinder them. Jian Tongyi gradually doubted his own eyes. If you can't solve it, I'll get off. A gloomy voice came from the car, and Jian Tongyi couldn't help but shudder. How much money do you want? Tell me, I'll give it to you. Let's go. Jian Tongyi's face showed reluctance. He unconditionally let Xia Yu kill him, but this was not because he was worried about himself, but because he was worried about Xia Yu. The last person who did this turned into the flesh and blood of his father. If it was an older person, he might not care at all, but for a teenager like Xia Yu, he still couldn't bear to see it, even if Xia Yu was now trying to scam someone. Xia Yu was stunned for a moment, and Jian Tongyi's behavior couldn't help but surprise him. He originally thought that he must be a bad person after staying with the old bug for so long, but it seemed that this was not the case. It's just HMPH, Xia Yu sneered, patted the dirt off his body and stood up, looking through the windshield at Matao Zouken, who was sitting in the back seat. Yo. You want to talk to me in person? Old thing, who do you think you are? You look like you're going to die soon. Matao Zouken didn't reply, but through his trembling pupils, it can be seen that he is now extremely angry. His anger is not Xia Yu's attitude, but just the sentence "you look like you're going to die soon," how much he has given up in order to live, how angry he is now. Yo. Old thing, you are not convinced? You know who is not? I am a local, and I, Yi Liangjin, have 100 ways to make you unable to survive here. Aren't you called Xia Yu? And you have only been here for less than a day, but he has lived in this city for nearly 200 years. Justice had turned into a ruthless complainer. You don't understand. Don't mess with me. Come on, kid. Get in. I'll take you to the hospital. Matao Zouken showed a disgusting smile, and the wrinkles on his face seemed to be squeezed together like toilet maggots. Matao Churuya chose to remain silent. He would not care about it now. The compromise just now was what he could do. Since the guy named Yu Liangchen in front of him didn't know what was good for him and was greedy, then what happened next was not something he could care about. Xia Yu opened the door of the back seat and yelled at Matao Zhaokan with a savage look on his face, "Get out! Old man, I want to sit in the back." Matao Zhaokan's eyes flashed with a strange light, and he slowly walked out of the car. Xia Yu sat directly in the back, the little lolly with short black hair, next to Ying. "What's your name, little sister?" "My name is Yuan." "Matao." Ying seemed to want to say something instinctively, but with a tremor in her body, she changed her mouth. "Ying-chan, my brother's name is Xia Yu. Just call me Brother Yu. Isn't my brother's name Yu Liangchen?" "Father." Matao Churuno hurriedly opened the door of the co-pilot. Matao Zhaokan sat in the co-pilot, still with a disgusting smile on his face. When he turned his back to Xia Yu, the flesh on his face even turned into cockroaches and swarmed. Although it only lasted for a moment, it was seen by everyone in the car except Ying. "Father, let's go. It's just right, this old bone is not working anymore, let's go to our private hospital." "Yes, Machire Zorjan, you really have become a disgusting guy." Yustaza floated outside the car, and her always ruthless face also showed a look of disgust and contempt, but it was only for a moment. Even Xia Yu couldn't see it. "Please recommend. Please collect." Chapter 52 Innocent Bugs, we are innocent. "Oh, this is really amazing. But didn't you say you were going to the hospital? Why did you bring me to your house? You're not going to kill me to silence me, are you?" "Hey, young man, you're really funny. How could I do something illegal? Besides, aren't you okay? We can talk about it and solve this problem privately." Matao Zhaokan put his hands behind his back, with a dirty, twisted smile on his face, and a rotten, disgusting and fishy smell emanated from his body. "Solve it privately. No problem, this house is now the Xia mansion. This little girl, her surname is also Xia. Get out of here, old bug." Xia Yu still had a frivolous smile and said in an extremely arrogant tone. "Hey, you're really arrogant. I knew you were targeting me for Ying, but you're too arrogant to dare to come to my magic workshop. Let me show you the accumulation of years." Matao Zhaokan's body turned into a pile of rotten meat, and dense bugs crawled out of the rotten meat and spread everywhere. At some point, the gray mist spread out. This mist made people feel extremely uncomfortable, dirty, unclean, like a fishy breath. Xia Yu pointed at Matao Churuno, whose face changed drastically, and Sakura, who had been frightened by Matao Zhaokan and turned pale, and said, "Hey, this buddy is your son, right? And Sakura is here too? Aren't you sending hostages to me?" "Whatever. With your body, I don't need a son anymore. As for Sakura, you have to know, if she dies, the research value will drop a lot, unlike the magicians in the magic index. If the magicians in the magic index are special humans like the ability users, then in Type Moon, magicians are truly human-like but not human. Here, real magicians are monsters without any conscience. For a goal, a little information, or the results of an experiment, they will sacrifice the lives of others without hesitation, no matter how many lives. They are all out-and-out monsters, all a group of crazy lunatics. And Matao Zhaokan is naturally one of them. In order to live, just to live, he turned himself into such a half-human, half-ghost appearance. Every inch of his flesh and blood was the manifestation of the devil. As for magicians, Ying's aptitude was very good. Her natural attribute, imaginary number, was very rare, so she was a rare and top-grade treasure. However, if she died, then her value would plummet. No magician would allow the treasure that was about to belong to him to fall in value. Matao Zhaokan thought that Xia Yu was just a magician who was eyeing the value of Ying's aptitude. But, what he didn't expect was that Xia Yu was not one at all. Xia Yu's main goal was to kill him. As for Ying, it couldn't be said to be unimportant. After all, Xia Yu also wanted to study her, but killing him was the main goal. The gray mist continued to spread, and the gate beside him had disappeared. The lush forest was covered with a layer of color by the gray mist, revealing a dead aura. "Boy, don't try to escape. This place has been turned into a temple. You must have great skills to dare to break in alone, but with the accumulation of my Matao family for 100 years, you will still die here." As Matao Zhaokan spoke, the whole forest seemed to come alive, with countless insects chirping and wriggling. Woo! Wu Ying cried in fear. Disgusting insects crawled everywhere, and the dense posture was enough to scare anyone into insect phobia and intensive phobia. Not to mention that Ying was just a child under 8 years old. Be good, Xia Yu, be good, your brother is here. Xia Yu hugged Xia Ying, held her in his arms, and blocked her sight with his body. Die? Idiot. He Matao Zhuokan laughed sinisterly, and his laughter strangely resonated with the chirping of insects in the forest. You damn bug, you scared my sister to tears. Remember not to be born into such a disgusting life in your next life. Matao Churuno just stood aside silently. He didn't believe Xia Yu could win, but just wanted to remember this boy as much as possible. Boy, you are still so arrogant when you are about to die. Let your screams please me. As Matao Zhangai's voice fell, the whole courtyard was filled with a sound of flapping wings, and a large number of flying insects rushed towards Xia Yu from all directions. The ground was like a rising tide of reptiles, and the sky was like a black mist of flying insects. For a while, Xia Yu was placed in a sea of insects. Tisk. Are you going to see if I am qualified to cooperate with you? You really don't trust me. It was obviously you who found me. Justice had long disappeared. Xia Yu shook his head helplessly and looked at the overwhelming tide of insects. The air was full of fishy and unpleasant odors, just like a rotten corpse. So disgusting, with Xia Yu's indifferent words. A ray of light appeared in this darkness. The red light shone like the sun, and wherever the light shone, all the bugs turned into ashes. Xia Yu used a huge amount of computing power to control the electrons, forming a bowl-shaped transparent electron wall around him, and used a huge amount of computing power to accurately destroy the target monomer. In an instant, it was completed hundreds of thousands of times, turning the bugs in the entire yard into atoms. What is that? What is that? Matao Zhaokan's voice was full of madness. A stream of bugs drilled out of the house and formed his body. His eyes were fixed on the tall figure behind Xia Yu. It was like a half-possessed person walking towards Xia Yu. Our ideal, my ideal, just after taking a step, it was crushed again. Angel, Sakura looked at the primordial spirit behind Xia Yu, and a cute and slightly silly voice came out of her mouth. Go to hell. Bugs. The light instantly illuminated the entire Fuyuki, and the huge amount of computing power was constantly washed like water washing dishes. You may not believe it. All the bugs were crushed into powder. And the rotten soul of Matao Zhaokan was intercepted. Chapter 53 Makare's Aljan. Where is this? The boundless sea of flowers and the bright and beautiful sky seemed to gather all the beauty in the world. A dirty bug was standing on this piece of land at the moment. Although the two styles were completely incompatible, it was surprisingly suitable for this place. How pathetic, an ethereal voice sounded, like the sound of nature, and like the whisper of the god of death. What? He raised his eyes. In the shaking sight, there was a female figure. Long silver hair without a trace of mixed colors, ruby-like eyes, delicate and not human-like appearance, and a pure white gorgeous dress. Matao Zhaokan raised his head in fascination and looked at this woman, who existed in the distant memory. No matter how time passed, she would never fade, and would always exist in his heart, like a goddess. 200 years ago, he pursued the great ideal with his compatriots and sacrificed himself. From that day on, she never aged, and had the eyes that he yearned for. Justice Auril von Eansburn, it's you. 200 years have passed, Tasaka Nagato is dead, and I am left with this little remnant, so why don't you want to die? You are willing to degenerate into an alien, contrary to your original wish, but you don't want to die? The voice that was missed once again sounded. Answer me, Machire Zorjan, why? 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 Why don't you want to die? Suffering pain every day, unable to bask in the sun, living in this inhuman way, living a life more painful than death. Obviously, if it ends, you can be freed from the pain, but you still keep holding on to all the pain and clinging to life. Why? I remember. That's right. In the beginning, it was for a noble purpose. To grasp everything in your hands. To understand all truths and reach a place that no one has ever been to. To transcend the limited human body and reach the infinity of the soul. The species called human is trapped by the pre-established boundaries and wants to escape from the endlessly rotating spiral of the brain. All hatred and pain are for healing and elimination. I remember now. After the lament that there is no paradise. If this world is empty, if even the creation of a physical body is not allowed, then rise up and go to a place where it can be allowed. It is not to create a brand new world, but to transform oneself and the lives of mankind into something new. That's right. As long as you raise your head, you can reach that universe, that end, be born again, to a flat land that no one has ever imagined, to reach the utopia that we cannot describe. For this, I seek the Holy Grail. Seek the miracle that is beyond human power. There is absolutely no reason to disappear before I achieve it. No matter how many times I am defeated, no matter how many times I realize that I cannot reach it with a physical body, as long as I am still alive, I will never give up. Yes, there is only one dream. Save mankind with the third law and realize the paradise in the dream. For an ideal that cannot be realized, gamble our lives. So, we must survive. Even after all the enemies have disappeared, knowing that it is meaningless, I can only keep searching. I believe that existence has its meaning, and as long as it exists, one day, I may be able to cultivate someone who inherits my will. So I have to continue to survive. Even if I know that it is painful, there is no reason to die. Even if I have to change myself. I want to overturn the immature lamentations of my youth. This is my way of survival, and it is also the answer I can't answer. That's right. Even if there is no reward in the future ahead. This is the original wish. This kind of pain. Compared with constantly challenging unrealized wishes, the wish not to die seems insignificant. Yes, that's it, Ainsburn, Matauzakin whispered, more to himself than to the Golden Saint. You remember, don't you, there were many things that Zhang Yan didn't say, but Justiza knew in her heart, because they were the original companions who sacrificed themselves to save the world, but too long a time has eroded your soul, and even the original wish has been forgotten, so it's time to end. Yes, it's time to end. Our wishes, pain, Machire's mission, all will end here. Under the gaze of those eyes, Zhang Yan became extremely calm. It was not bad for her to end this endless journey that started because of her. Will you continue to fulfill our wishes? Yes, Justiza nodded solemnly. Really? Then I wish you success, Ainsburn. The worm eye closed, waiting for its own end. Of course, my former ally, I will succeed and save mankind. Justiza's face was covered with a smile, and her words were full of determination. The sky and the earth changed color, the flowers turned into black mud, and the sky was shrouded in black fog. Black ocean, red sky, dirty rain, and a dark sun. The wind was full of curses and groans. This place seemed like the hell in myths and legends. And Justiza stood in this hell, creating a strong impact. The black mud rushed towards Justiza, engulfing Matauzakin on the road. The dirty black mud stained the white dress and wrapped Justiza. The black mud merged into her body, and blood-red lines appeared on her jade-white body. The blood red and white reflected a strange beauty. You are not Justiza at all. Who are you? Matauzakin's roar came from the mud, and a man stood up from the black mud. That was exactly what Matauzakin looked like 200 years ago. He stared at the saint in front of him, and he felt extremely uneasy. I am Justiza. You should know. Machire's origin. You? A mysterious blue light shone from Zhaokin Matau. This was the water magic of the Matau family, or the Machire family. However, the black earth opened its mouth and swallowed Zhaokin Matau in one gulp. Chapter 54 Ainsburn. In a hidden place outside Berlin, there lives a magic family with a history of more than 1,000 years. It is a corner of the core of the three great families and provides the entire Holy Grail system and the core Ainsburn. And today, in this place where there has been no dispute for hundreds of years, a battle broke out. Wreckage give you life, the white woman waved her arm lightly, and her long silk thread kept swimming in her hand. It was like it was alive and constantly constructing. The silk thread was tied in the air, and the birds woven by the silk thread were given life. The birds flew around the woman. Although they had no vocal cords, they made crisp chirps. Go, boom with the woman's command, the birds flew out like arrows from a string. The small birds, which were only made of threads, were like arrows that charged the city, easily chiseling holes in the castle wall in front of them one after another. Iris Veal. What are you doing? An angry roar came from inside the castle, and the gate opened with a bang. An old man stood in front of the gate and angrily scolded the woman. What am I doing? Adhodian, give me back my Ilya. The beautiful and dignified Iris Veal had a distorted expression on her face, and her angry expression seemed to be looking at an irreconcilable enemy. If you look closely, you will find that Iris Veal and Justiza are basically the same. Little Holy Grail, this is what Irisville and Justicia call each other. It is a living sacrifice prepared for the ceremony. Irisville, didn't I say it before? As long as you can complete the third law to save mankind, Ilya will naturally be useless to the plan, and everything will be fine. Ahad's words were full of ruthlessness, like a program that had been set up long ago. Only when he said complete the third law did his tone fluctuate. When Irisville heard Ahad's words, her expression became more determined, and she was even more worried about leaving Ilya, her daughter, here. She knew that Ahad didn't treat her and Ilya as human beings at all, but just as tools. What made her feel the most sad was, Ahad was not doing this for himself, but for the so-called ideal of saving mankind. He treated everyone equally, Irisville, Ilya, the maids in the castle, the human magicians in the outside world, including himself. He treated them all equally. In his eyes they were all tools, just tools with different functions. As long as he could fulfill that dream, he didn't care at all. The sad thing was, that dream was not his own, but just a program engraved in his memory. How could Irisville feel at ease leaving her daughter here? And if she failed, then Ilya would be the next one, growing up here without a mother and surrounded by cold machines. I won't allow it. The birds exuded a strange magical light, and flew towards Ahad on the castle like gorgeous meteors. At high speed, the lines that made up the birds were like a precious sword that could cut iron like mud, enough to easily tear steel. Don't forget, who taught you magic? Ahad raised and lowered the cane in his hand. An invisible wave spread in an instant. The earth trembled, and the rock and soil turned into a huge arm. With the arm's push, a huge rock and soil golem emerged from the ground. Birds hit the body of the rock and soil golem, knocking pieces of debris off its body, but it was like a mosquito bite, not painful. You can't beat me. Alice, go. When you win, I will naturally return Ilya to you. Ahad leaned on the cane, with a calm expression, and seemed to not care about Alice's rebellious behavior at all. Alice looked at the huge golem that was 30 meters high and the ubiquitous repulsive force. This is Ahad's temple. The precipitation of time has made his magic resonate with this land, and his power represents this land. Irisville is a perfect living sacrifice. Not only is her appearance perfect, but her talent is almost incredible in the field of magicians. If I have to describe it, it is miracle. Yes, Adhodan, I can't beat you by myself, but I'm not alone. Saber, the hurricane blew up Irisville's silver-white hair. Against the backdrop of snowflakes, she looked like a winter goddess. Blue light shone from her side, and countless tiny particles formed around her, or should I say, appeared. The king with long golden hair fluttered, wearing blue and white armor, stood beside Irisville. She seemed to be holding something in her hand, but it could not be seen. Saber, swordsman, a contestant in the Holy Grail War and one of the 7 heroic spirits, responded to Irisville's call. I see, no wonder you suddenly became bold. Ahad looked at the petite blonde girl, but his expression was full of vigilance and solemnity. He dared not underestimate the existence in front of him. It was a name engraved in human history, a hero from ancient times, and a terrifying monster that magicians could not match. Under normal circumstances, heroic spirits were absolutely invincible to magicians. This gap could not be made up by numbers. Moreover, the one in front of him was Saber, who had the strongest anti-magic power. I am afraid that ordinary magic would not work on her. However, Ahad did not intend to surrender. First of all, this was related to whether his long-cherished wish for many years could be realized. Secondly, although under normal circumstances, heroic spirits were invincible to magicians, Ahad was not an ordinary magician, and this place was his temple, high-level magic workshop, and the Eansburn family was good at alchemy, not anti-magic power, so it was not impossible to fight. Go! The huge rock and earth golem raised a fist as big as a city gate and smashed it down. The huge shadow seemed to cover the sky and the sun, and a strong sense of oppression also pressed down. A group of women holding various cold weapons rushed out from the inside of the castle. They all had silver hair and red eyes, and were 70% similar to Irisville. These were all artificial people. Saber, yes. The Wind King hammer, Saber slashed down with a sword, and the wind attached to the sword completely ran away. The wind was roaring and howling, just like a horizontal tornado. A column of wind rolled up the snowflakes that defended nearly a mile and rolled towards the giant. The snowflakes rendered the hurricane white, and the pure white whirlwind burst out with a might of rendering the world. The rocks collapsed, and the terrifying hurricane crushed everything that was blocking it. Fortunately, it was released diagonally to the sky and did not damage the castle behind. Go. One by one, the silk birds flew down from the sky, and their sharp claws splashed drops of blood in the artificial crowd. Please recommend. Please collect. I thought about it all day yesterday, thinking about how to write a novel Fourth War, and finally came up with a devilish idea. To be honest, I feel stupid for being able to think of this idea. Although I don't know if my writing skills can support me to complete it. If you feel that it is sloppy, please comment. Do you miss home during your time on Earth? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55, Matao Korea's Dream? Hey Aoi. Hey, Rin, this is a gift from Uncle in Central Park. Matao Korea smiled and greeted two beauties, one big and one small. Matao Korea is from the Matao family, one of the three great families, but because he was afraid of the family's magic, he had long since left the family. And Matao Zoltan also ignored him because he was worthless. And the woman and the girl are not passers-by either. The woman's name is Zhenjoaoi, and she is the eldest daughter of a declining magic family, but her other identity is more important. She is one of the three great families, the local magic family Tausika family that provided the venue, and the wife of the current head of the family, Tausika Tokimi. And the girl is the daughter of Tausika Tokimi and Sakura's sister, Tausika Rin. Logically speaking, the identities of these three people should not be so close. However, they have a deeper relationship. Zhenjoaoi, Matao Korea, and Tausika Tokimi were once classmates in the same school. Matao Korea seemed to have competed with Tausika Tokimi for Zhenjoaoi. It is said that someone saw the two of them arguing over Zhenjoaoi. In the end, Tausika Tokimi, who had a more excellent family background, won the battle, and Matao Korea never met Tausika Tokimi again. After all, a loser should look like a loser. However, perhaps because there were still some fantasies in his heart, he did not give up contact with Zhenjoaoi, and often came to this park to encounter them. Thank you, Uncle. Tausika Rin took Matao Korea's small gift and thanked him very politely, but Matao Korea felt that Tausika Rin was a little strange. In the past, she was very happy to pull him to play together, but this time, she seemed very disappointed. What's wrong? Matao Korea glanced around in confusion. He saw Zhenjoaoi, who lowered her head and remained silent, saw Tausika Rin, who was unhappy, and... Wait? Where's Sakura? He realized something and instinctively felt uneasy in his heart. He asked hurriedly, Aoi. Where's Sakura? Rin. Where's Sakura? Upon hearing this, Zhenjoaoi's expression became even more painful, and she turned her head to the side, as if she was too ashamed to see Matao Korea. Sakura. Sakura. She's gone. Tausika Rin bit her lips lightly, lowered her head, and her voice was a little choked. With a reflection of the sunlight, Matao Korea seemed to see something dripping. Aoi, Sakura is no longer my child, Rin's sister, Zhenjoaoi said in a deep voice. What? Sakura has been sent to the Matao family. The Matao family longs for a child with magical talent. Don't you know the reason? Zhenjoaoi's question made Matao Korea's heart twitch. Of course he knew, and it was even inseparable from him. It was because of his escape that the Matao family lacked an heir with magical talent. The head of the Tausika family has decided to agree to the request of the ancient ally, the Matao family. I can't object. Zhenjoaoi's voice was very painful. Ask which mother would not feel pain when losing her child, but she could not resist, because this was the decision of her husband, Tausika Tokimi. Matao Korea's heart was burning with anger, not for Zhenjoaoi in front of him, but for Tausika Tokimi. As a good friend of Zhenjoaoi, he certainly knew how traditional this woman was. She didn't know how to resist, and she didn't dare to resist. Tausika Tokimi, the anger continued to burn, as if it turned into a real raging fire, burning a certain line in Matao Korea's mind. He was not only angry that Tausika Tokimi adopted Sakura to his ally, but he was also angry that Tausika Tokimi was adopted by the Matao family. Matao Korea, who came from there, knew very well what kind of place the Matao family was. It was hell. And as someone who also came from a magic family, Tausika Tokimi couldn't have been unaware of this. And Tausika Tokimi actually pushed Sakura into hell for the so-called covenant, the true meaning of magic and other messed up things. He absolutely could not forgive him. This is what Matao Korea thought. If you meet Sakura, please treat her well. She has always liked you very much. Bang! Matao Korea fell to the ground. His anger caused his blood pressure to rise and he fell into coma. Korea, Uncle Korea. If you can obtain the Holy Grail, you won't need Tasuka Sakura anymore. This is a deal, Zouken. I will bring the Holy Grail to the Matao family, and you have to let Tasuka Sakura go? Ha ha ha, stop kidding. How could you possibly do that? Wonder? You can't even control a servant, don't you have a way? Use the secret technique you're best at? What? Are you worried about me, father? Sakura, don't worry, you'll be fine once Uncle Korea obtains the Holy Grail. Korea. Korea Yu, in the church, Tasuka Tokimi's body fell to one side, and behind him was the painful voice of Zenjoui. Tokimi. You. It's all your fault, for disobeying Grandpa's orders, Sakura. The blade pierced into the body, and the body that had long lost consciousness was completely destroyed. Ah. Hugh in the hospital, Matao Korea suddenly sat up from the bed, breathing heavily. The hospital gown on his body had long been soaked with sweat, and the horrifying scene was still echoing in front of his eyes. What was that? Was it a dream? Looking around, his body was vaguely painful, but there was no pain from being twisted and turned by insects. Yakira, Matao Korea left, lifted the quilt, jumped off the bed, and ran towards that house. He fell to the ground due to his physical weakness. Kanye? Why did you get down? Nurse, come and help. With the support of Zenjoui and the nurse, Matao Korea lay on the bed again. You suddenly fainted a day ago, so I sent you to the hospital. The doctor said that you were just tired and angry. Just rest for a few days and don't move. Zenjoui comforted him kindly. Owie, the scene of Zenjoui being strangled to death by himself appeared in his mind again. What's wrong? Korea. Zenjoui found that Matao Korea's expression was very strange, thinking that he was still uncomfortable, so he asked hurriedly. After Matao Korea fell into coma, she felt very guilty because she thought Sakura was forced to separate from her because of Matao Korea's escape, so she spoke in a very aggressive tone. However, after Matao Korea fainted, she immediately felt guilty about herself and felt that she had some reasons for being unreasonable. Please recommend. Please collect. The part in between is Matao Korea's dream, which is the normal process of the Fourth War. Chapter 56, The Miracle of Matao Korea. I'm fine. I want to be discharged. Matao Korea ignored Zenjoi's dissuasion and insisted on leaving the hospital. Sorry. Owie, I remembered something very important and I have to do it. Matao Korea hurriedly left this sentence and got on a taxi and left. Zenjoui, who was at the door of the hospital, looked guilty and couldn't help thinking in his heart, it seems that he still has complaints about me. In the taxi, Matao Korea was in a hurry and kept urging the driver, please hurry up, it's urgent. He didn't want the things in his dream to happen, he must stop it and save Sakura. But, fortunately, it was just a dream. Do you really think so? Just when Matao Korea was glad that the ending was just a nightmare. In the dark, it seemed that a voice responded from his mind. Who is talking? Matao Korea instinctively looked around. What's wrong with you? Customer, the driver asked in confusion. It's okay, maybe I was hallucinating. Matao Korea's tense nerves also relaxed a little, but he felt that he was worrying too much. Don't deceive yourself. If it was a dream, isn't it too detailed? That's you. If you continue to move forward without a plan, then, you will be played by them, like a clown, and most importantly, no one will save you. That is your ending. The voice sounded again, and Matao Korea looked around. There was no one around except the driver. Who are you? Where are you? He couldn't help but ask. The driver next to him looked at him with a strange look in his eyes. I'm in your mind. I'm you. I'm the idiot that no one could save. If you want to save Sakura, you must have strength. Get out of the car, find a place, and accept me. Together, we can defeat Zouken and Matao, save Sakura, and punish that bastard Tasuka Tokimi. Do you think you can beat Zouken and Matao? Do you want to save Sakura? Believe me. I won't hurt you, because I'm you. Get out of the car. Matao Korea's temperament suddenly became gloomy, and he said in simple and calm words. Okay. The driver hurriedly stopped the car on the side of the road and opened the door. Even though Matao Korea didn't pay, he didn't say a word. It's so unlucky. I pulled a lunatic. The driver looked at Matao Korea, who was gradually going away through the rearview mirror, wiped the cold sweat from his head, and just thought he was unlucky. What should I do? Matao Korea didn't know why he was so obedient to this voice. Maybe it was because of his lack of self-confidence, maybe it was because of his love for Sakura, maybe it was because of his hatred for Tasuka Tokiyami, maybe it was really as it said, it was itself. Matao Zouken is a demon hiding in the darkness of this city for hundreds of years. You and I alone are not his opponents. We need strength and miracles. Fortunately, there is never a lack of miracles in this city. Go. Find a place where no one is. Accept me, accept yourself, awaken your own magic power, call on the ancient hero, and take the miracle with your own hands. I want to get a miracle. There was no one. Coincidentally, Matao Zouken knew one. It was a dark alley. He fell here countless times because of pain, and stood up again countless times because of obsession and resentment. Hug me. A person appeared in front of Matao Korea, another Matao Korea, but unlike the current him, he was horrible. Half of his face was covered with stripes like bulging veins. Sometimes surging like water pipes transporting water, his face was ashen, and his body was as broken as a rag doll. This is the result of you self-righteously going to find Matao Zouken and trusting him. For some reason, seeing this self, the last doubts in his heart disappeared completely. The fantasy that deceived himself was also awakened. He was extremely sure that Matao Zouken would make him like this. Come on. The man in front of him opened his arms, and disgusting reptiles drilled through his skin, poking out and drilling in. There were 2 holes left on the flesh, but no blood flowed out. Matao Korea understood that it was himself who was completely eaten by the engraved worms. Facing himself like this, Matao Korea had no fear or disgust in his heart. He opened his arms and hugged himself. This time, I must win. Bang! Matao Korea's body twisted, and a large amount of blood splashed around like a spray. Blood streaks flowed down the wall, and Matao Korea's screams resounded through the sky, but some invisible force formed a curtain, and the sound did not spread out. Light paths like the lines on a voltage board appeared on Matao Korea's body, and he felt that he had added another organ in his body, and the door to the world of magic opened in front of him. Waves of power derived from life were transformed by the organ, but Matao Korea did not feel weak, but felt strong. This time, I must win. On Matao Korea's right hand, the miracle key that belonged to him had already appeared. The bright red, 3-part cross was the miracle he called for. The qualification ticket for the Holy Grail War. Matao Zouken. I want you to die. Tasuka Tokiyami. I must kill you with my own hands. Only I can kill you. Origin. Matao Korea awakened the origin, and at that moment, Matao Korea briefly came into contact with an incredible existence. If it were 1 more millisecond, or even a smaller unit, then he would become a part of it. It is the root, the ultimate goal of the magician in the Type Moon world. If you reach the root, you will be able to obtain all knowledge, and omniscience means omnipotence. However, compared with the endless knowledge, the will of an individual is insignificant, and generally speaking, it will be assimilated in an instant. Please recommend. Please collect. Chapter 57, The Heroic Spirit Summons Roman? Yes, that's it, Matao Mansion. Since Matao Zouken was finished, this place has been occupied by Xia Yu. Logically speaking, Matao Churuaya, the first heir, said nothing and left this mature house with his son. What Xia Yu is doing now is to complete one of the miracles of the Holy Grail War, summoning heroic spirits. Even Xia Yu is very curious about the existence that should have only existed in history, crossing the long river of time and arriving in the modern era. Justice, is this alright? Xia Yu took the bottle of mercury and filled the gap between the magic circle on the side, and the magic circle composed of mercury was formed. Justice, does the magic circle have to be like this? The symbols around represent earth, fire, wind and water. In the center are the sun, moon and stars, and the text next to them is in Latin. Those symbols are crown, wisdom, understanding, the 10 elements. Although Xia Yu is a science student, he still heard a little bit about mysticism. After all, he knows that magic exists, and now it seems that the magic between Magic Index and Type Moon seems to be similar. At least, the roots of knowledge are similar. The formation is not the key. This magic formation is mainly to put shackles on the heroic spirit, that is, to connect the command seal in your hand with the heroic spirit itself. The key lies in the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail contains the wisdom of the former third magician about the third law. Its essence can communicate with the real third law. Only through the power of the third law can the heroic spirit descend. Well, so. Then, let's start. Xia Yu raised his right hand, and a blood-red mark composed of 3 parts was printed on the back of his hand. That was the command seal. He got the Holy Grail war ticket from Justiça. The Greater Holy Grail will respond to those who have magical power and desire for the Holy Grail, or a certain wish, and grant them the command spell. This is completely instinctive. As long as there is magic power and a desire for the Holy Grail, you can obtain it. Fill it, fill it, fill it, fill it, fill it. Repeat it over and over again. The next is 5, but when it is full, it is the opportunity to abandon it. I declare that you obey my orders, my life is with your sword, and you respond to my call. If you are willing to follow this will and this principle, then respond. I swear here that I will accomplish all the good deeds in the world, and I will punish all the evil deeds in the world. You are the 7th heaven with the 3 great words, and you come from the wheel of restraint and the guardian of the Libra. As Xia Yu spoke, the formation gradually glowed with blue light. When he finished his spell, the blue light emitted from the formation was as strong as the sun. Although it sounds strange, it is the fact. A tall figure appeared in the blue light, and as the light faded, his appearance also appeared in front of Xia Yu. He was a tall, thin, handsome man with long orange hair tied into a ponytail behind him. He was wearing a white coat similar to that of a doctor, and his expression was a little dazed. Am I being summoned? The man looked at Xia Yu dully, then looked at the magic circle under his feet, and suddenly said in surprise. Justiça, I remember that the heroic spirits should be summoned only when they have their own wishes to entrust to the Holy Grail. What's the matter with this thing? Xia Yu pointed at the confused man on the side and asked Justiça on the side. Well, logically speaking, it is indeed like that. Justiça didn't seem to understand it very well. Xia Yu? Will the Holy Grail also tell the heroic spirit the name of the master? Xia Yu asked again in confusion. Well, although I was the living sacrifice back then, and now I am also the Holy Grail, the information is handled by the Matau family, so I don't know much. Oh hey. What's your name? Hearing Xia Yu's question, the man instinctively smiled bitterly and said, Hey. That's too much? Although suddenly, his words stopped abruptly, and a look of enlightenment appeared on his face. Then he smiled bitterly and said, Master, just call me Roman. I have bad news for you. You really drew a bad card, Roman. Xia Yu did not find this name in history, at least not a celebrity. And for the Holy Grail War, this means uncertainty, that is to say, not necessarily a strong person, and he said that he is a bad card, which means he is not confident in himself or for some other reason. Let me see your attributes. Sorry. Please forgive me for refusing, and I don't have combat power. I'm afraid I can't help you in this war. The heroic spirit named Roman said so. Xia Yu was silent for a moment, then turned around and asked, if I kill him, can I change someone else? No. Justiça also shook her head simply. Hey, that's too scary. Why do you want to kill me? I'm still useful, Roman said excitedly. What's your use? I'm a doctor, I can treat illnesses. Oh, it's useless. Just kill me. Hey. Don't shout that you want to fight or kill me. I know a little bit about magic, I can teach you magic. Why? Weren't you summoned involuntarily? Why do you want to stay here so much? Xia Yu was very confused. Roman's initial actions were obviously involuntary, and he seemed to know Xia Yu? If you can, let me stay here. I want to experience human life again. Roman smiled bitterly, with an indescribable loneliness in his expression. Xia Yu touched his chin. The heroic spirit in front of him was really suspicious, but his expression at the moment seemed real. The main reason was that he couldn't summon a new heroic spirit after killing him, and Xia Yu was also a little curious about his knowledge of magic. After all, he is a heroic spirit that is more compatible with me, and this image, is it him? It should be. Am I also a European emperor? In the Holy Grail War, if there is no holy relic, the servant summoned will be a servant that is more compatible with the person. In addition, Xia Yu also had some guesses about the identity of the person in front of him. Great. Hearing Xia Yu's response, Roman danced like a child, looking very happy. Chapter 58. A Friend's Story. Checkmate. Time flies, and the day of January passes in a flash. In the Matau mansion, Xia Yu and Roman are playing chess. At this moment, Xia Yu's queen once again forces Roman into death. Oh. It's amazing. Master, this is the 31st time, and every time it ends in such a tragic way. Roman scratched his head with a wry smile. After all, anyone would feel embarrassed to be defeated so many times in a game. However, Roman's expression became serious, and a spirit that could not be expressed in words emanated from him. His eyes were no longer lazy and frivolous as before, but revealed a gaze that seemed to be able to see through people's hearts. He looked at Xia Yu, saw through Xia Yu's emptiness, and said, "Is this really good? Such a victory, is it really meaningful to you? What do you want to say?" Xia Yu showed a puzzled expression. It was not that Xia Yu was really puzzled, but it seemed that it should be like this. "Haha, my master. Let me tell you a story." Roman suddenly laughed, and then his original majesty disappeared instantly, as if it was just an illusion. Xia Yu propped up his chin and interrupted to listen to the story that the master he summoned was going to tell. "This is the story of a friend of mine. In the ancient past, far away from here, there was a country. That country had a king. He was born a king. This is not a compliment to him, but a fact. That country needs a king to lead it, and he is the destined one. He is a king who upholds the will of God. He has the wisdom and power given by God. He makes laws, he rules the country, and is loved by the people. He also has a large harem, ahem. This is true. Don't interrupt, master, let me finish." "Interrupt? Our relationship shouldn't have reached that point yet. That, isn't the anchor point coordinates you chose a bit strange? Forget it, listen to me first." Roman certainly knew that Xia Yu already knew his true identity and the story he told. However, some things can't be said even if you see through them. But those are just missions. It's not that he wants to do that, but he can only do that. Those are just missions. Everything is just like a stage play, following the script. There is no will of his own, because he is not a human. Without humanity, Roman's face showed pessimism. It was not that he was sad about his life, but that he was just a pessimist. "Oh, I understand. He is indeed not a human, but a mechanism connecting God and man, just a robot with a set process. His mission is just to lead Israel to become strong and then split. To put it more bluntly, he is the so-called leader given to mankind by God to show his authority." Xia Yu simply analyzed his words and said them in a concise way. Roman was silent for a while. He was speechless and had to smile bitterly and said, "It's really hard to hear. Okay, I have a question next." Roman smiled slightly. "Do you want to ask what will happen next? Is the friend you are talking about yourself?" It was obviously a question, but it was unusually firm. Your anchor point is very strange." "Well, forget it. After all, everyone is different. You should continue to listen to me and then speak." Roman sighed helplessly, but thinking carefully about his past, he seemed to be a headache like Xia Yu. After completing all the missions, he found God and asked God to give him a miracle, so that he could become a real person. He gave up the wisdom given by God, gave up the extremely powerful power, lost the burden of the mission, and was reborn. He went to many places and saw a lot. "I'm here. You shouldn't understand." Roman had already seen that Xia Yu possessed the wisdom similar to the wisdom given by God. This wisdom can make Xia Yu control everything, but it will also make judgments on behalf of Xia Yu. Everything only does the right thing, then? What's the difference with a puppet being dominated? People are always limited by what they see, and the world that a person sees cannot be shared with others. This sentence refers to the eyes, but mainly refers to the brain. One's thinking and imagination are things that cannot be shared with others, and eventually one will take a path that belongs only to oneself because of one's thinking. Even if it is the same person, at the same time, with all the same conditions, it is possible to make different choices, which is the so-called parallel world. However, Xia Yu will not. The path he chooses is a choice made after calculation. Under the same conditions, no matter how many times, Xia Yu will choose this path, because this path is correct. It's not that this is not good, but at least, it shouldn't be a human. What is a human? That is, a human with infinite possibilities, not the so-called human beings, nor anything else. And a person who has observed countless possibilities from the beginning and chooses the most favorable one. But it also means that he has lost the possibility. Roman, do you know? The world I came to, maybe even meeting you, and what you said, maybe it's just the result of my calculations, just like your friend, asking God for a miracle to turn into human. Maybe this means that he had humanity in the beginning. So he went back to ask? Maybe that so-called request is also his mission. Even so, are you still going to persuade me? Xia Yu's eyes were full of indifference. When he looked into Roman's eyes, Roman could even feel the coldness of winter. And at the same time, Roman also saw the emptiness in Xia Yu's eyes that was like frozen bubbles. Maybe being a human is also a mission? Ho ha ho ha. Really? Didn't you think of this? Or do I not want to think about it? Roman laughed at himself, covering his forehead with his palm, laughing at the self he didn't want to think about before. Then, the self-deprecating laughter dissipated, and Roman's serious expression was reflected on his face. Master, what if? I still insist on my idea. Yes. Perhaps being a human was also his mission. He had never gotten rid of his mission, but, so what? The time he spent as a human made him realize that he didn't really want to get rid of his mission, nor did he want to become a human. He just wanted to be a human and get to know more people, such as Da Vinci and Mashu. During that time, he was really happy. Chapter 59, Calculated? It doesn't matter. People are always limited by what they see. What a person sees and thinks cannot be shared. Even if it is repeated by people, it will eventually become different after their understanding. You are right, Roman. Really. I am tired of my current state. Everything, the moment I see it, I already know everything. What I don't know, is just because at this time, I shouldn't know. Follow the results of the calculation and walk on an absolutely favorable path. No matter what I gain, I will not be surprised. I will not be sad if I lose anything, because I know in my subconscious that I have known all this for a long time. It's like my destiny. However, I don't intend to so-called resist fate. If I care too much about fate, I will be more likely to become a puppet of fate. Those who are truly manipulated by fate are those who swear to resist fate to the death. What do you think? King Solomon. Roman was silent. He recalled the past. He should have been a pawn of God to consolidate his authority and keep humans at God's feet. However, he tried his best to avoid using the power given by God. He watched tragedy after tragedy that could be smoothed out by God's power, and also saw heroes after heroes who completed God's miracles with mortal bodies. God's power can prevent tragedy from happening again. With God's power, humans will no longer go beyond themselves to reach miracles. Humans are such animals. If there is a shortcut, they will never take a long way, especially a wide and safe shortcut and a narrow and dangerous long way. What was seen at the beginning determined the two sides of Roman and Solomon. And looking back carefully, his choice, was it a destined mission? Wish to become a human being, and die for humans. Perhaps it was all carefully arranged by the omniscient and omnipotent God on the Christian doctrine. But, that's right. Maybe everything about me is arranged by God, but, the God who arranged my destiny is me. Although Roman is no longer the Solomon, he is still a staunch believer in the Christian religion, and at this moment, he said the most blasphemous words in the Christian doctrine. In the Christian doctrine, God is supreme and unique, and any offense to his glory is a sin. And Roman, as the former God-given king and now Dr. Roman, he is the most staunch believer, and these words actually came from his mouth. The Old Testament Bible and Book of Enoch and other classics once again reviewed Roman's mind. In the Bible, most of the battles are between the archangels headed by Archangel Michael and the demons headed by Lucifer, the king of hell. As the supreme God, most of them are in the spectator seat. If the so-called Genesis is transformed into a person, then the supreme God is his own consciousness, and the archangels represent kindness, goodness, and integrity and other emotions that humans consider justice, while the demons are naturally arrogance, lewdness, rage, laziness and other images that humans consider evil. In the battles in the Bible mythology, the wars between angels and demons also have victories and defeats. Although God is more inclined to angels, he will not maliciously target demons. For example, it is recorded in the book of Revelation, Revelation chapter 12, verse 3, another sign appeared in heaven. There was a great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns on his heads. Revelation chapter 12, verse 4. Its tail dragged a third of the stars in the sky and threw them to the ground. Revelation chapter 12, verse 7, there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. The dragon also fought with his angels. Revelation chapter 12, verse 8, they did not prevail, and there was no place for them in heaven anymore. Revelation 12, 9, the great dragon, that ancient serpent, the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him. Revelation 20:2, he seized the dragon, that ancient serpent, the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. Revelation 20:3, he threw him into the abyss, and shut it and sealed it over him, so that he could not deceive the nations any more until the 1,000 years were finished. After that he must be released temporarily. Michael defeated Satan with the help of God, but did not kill him or seal him forever. He only imprisoned him for 1,000 years and then had to release him. Continuing with the previous train of thought, if Genesis is compared to a person, then it means that goodness defeated evil, but could not kill evil, because God did not allow it, or could not, or even, could not do it. I see how Roman suddenly laughed at himself again, and a faint light appeared on his fingertips, and the words drawn by magic appeared in the air. Control your own emotions, check and balance the appropriate emotions at the right time, and be self-disciplined. You are your own God. Maybe you don't have the power to destroy the world, maybe you don't have the wisdom to know everything, but, at that time, you are your own God. The ancient text remained in the sky, and the symbols of just a few hundred words turned into a book. It represents the magic book that Roman finally understood, and its name is, Man and God. Is this also in your calculation, Master? Roman looked at the magic book floating in front of him, with a wry smile on his face. This is really a bad enough experience for him. I don't know, but, thank you, Roman. Xia Yu didn't know, just like Solomon didn't know that he was just a tool man when he was King Solomon. Xia Yu doesn't know now, but Xia Yu knows one thing. That is, he is really tired of such days. He is obviously himself, but he doesn't know whether he is his own nature or the behavior he calculated. Whether I am you, or you are me, or I am you but you are not me. I don't care anymore. Anyway, I have to find something for you to do. So that you won't be so idle all the time. Maybe this is also part of the calculation? But is it important? There is no need to resist deliberately, just feel that you are yourself. You're welcome. My master. Because we are friends, ha. Yes. Friends, paw the palms of the two hip together, making a crisp sound. Chapter 60, Stigmata and the Holy Grail. What did you say? Yes. I know, in the church of Fuyuki City, an old priest just received a call. It was his old friend who called and told him a very important news. What's wrong? Father, a young priest walked out of the lounge of the church. His strong face had a pair of eyes like dead water. I'm so angry. Just now, an old friend of mine called me. Your daughter Karen has a stigmata on her body, but John, that bastard, refused to baptize her and wanted to send her to the Cistercian monastery. After I exposed him, he still wanted to lie to me, saying that the church did not allow her to be baptized. In the church, no matter what your identity is, as long as you have a stigmata on your body, you can be baptized. As for whether you can be used as a weapon, it depends on the church's opinion, but she must be baptized to make her another believer with the qualifications of a saint in my Kodamin family. The old man is the head of the Fuyuki City Church and the supervisor of this Holy Grail war, Kodamin Rishi. His anger can be seen from his rising and falling chest. Colin, the young man fell into memories. This name was exactly his daughter's. He remembered what his wife did in front of him many years ago. He remembered how he casually abandoned his daughter Colin in the church after his wife died. It has been about 8 years now. He didn't expect to hear this name today. Kyrie. Go to the Cistercian monastery in person and bring her back. I will baptize her first, then we can talk. Kodamin Kyrie was looking at his son, Kodamin Kyrie, with a serious face. He actually didn't care about Colin's whereabouts, because he was a devout believer. He was so angry mainly because someone wanted to wipe out the saint of their Kodamin family. Kodamin Kyrie hesitated for a moment and asked, Father, I'm leaving. What about the master? It's okay, it's just a few days. The head of the Tosaka family won't care. I will explain it to him in person. The master and head of the Tosaka family they were talking about were the local snakes responsible for providing the ceremony venues for one of the three great families, the head of the Tosaka family, and the Tosaka Tokiyami, who was nicknamed the pot that carries everything in this world. A few months ago, Kodamin Kyrie had a ticket representing the qualification to participate in the Holy Grail War, the command seal, in his hand. So, under his own confusion and his father's request, he became a disciple of Toshimi Tosaka, helping Toshimi Tosaka to obtain the Holy Grail. Well, father, I'll leave immediately. Well, go quickly and come back quickly. Katamine Kairei nodded and turned to walk out the door. Osaka Airport, in the south of Osaka, a plane from Germany just landed. Is this Fuyuki? The environment is warmer than over there. A young woman in pure white walked out of the cabin, with a white velvet hat, a white coat, and a white knee-length skirt. With a woman's snow-white skin and long silver hair, she seemed to be Snow White from a fairy tale, which was very suitable for the current midwinter season. In her arms was a child who looked only 1 or 2 years old. The child's watery eyes looked around without thinking, and a happy smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Ilya likes this place too. Then let's settle down here first. What do you think? Ilya, the woman smiled gently at the child in her arms. Then raised her head and looked at the soft afternoon sunshine with a relaxed smile on her face. Behind the woman, there was a short boy. Judging from his appearance, the boy was not inferior to the woman in front of him. His long golden hair was simply erected, and he was wearing a simple black suit, exuding a capable and sassy atmosphere, which complemented the pure white woman who was looking at her with a smile. If the woman is a princess in a fairy tale, then the boy is the knight who protects the princess. If there is any discord, it is probably that the boy's suit is too thin, and it is easy to catch a cold in winter. Of course, if you know his identity, you will naturally not worry about him. And the identities of these two people and the child are naturally Irisville and Saber and Altria, who came from afar. Madam, everything is ready. Just as the two were talking, two silver-haired women who were 70% similar to Irisville but different came to them with suitcases. Sorry, Sierra. Liz? Let's go for a walk. Find a suitable place to settle down. Irisville came to this country to participate in the Holy Grail War, but it was too dangerous to take Ilya with her to participate in that cruel war. She didn't have the confidence to protect Ilya's safety from those unscrupulous magicians. If Ilya was injured, she couldn't even imagine what would happen to her in the future. So, this time she came mainly to find a suitable place to settle Ilya. Then Osaka, which is far away from Fuyuki and an important city in the country, is a good place. Settle down here temporarily, and decide other issues after the Holy Grail War is over. As for why they still want to participate in the Holy Grail War, it is to end the fate of Eansburn. If they don't care, that fate will one day make them have nowhere to escape, and Altria also has a wish that she wants to fulfill, and Irisville can't ignore it. The androids of the Eansburn family all have a beauty that can bring disaster. Although they dress as approachable as possible, such beauties are destined to be the focus of attention no matter what they wear or where they go. When such a beauty walks with a peerless beautiful boy, female, with the same temperament and even two equally beautiful foreign maids, the lethality will increase exponentially. Along the way, the treatment received by everyone is no different from that of stars walking on the street. No matter old or young, male or female, they all pay attention to the two. If it weren't for the boy's temperament being too stern, his eyes being too clear, and his whole body exuding an aura that keeps people away from him, I'm afraid someone would have come up to chat or ask for an autograph long ago. As we all know, money may not buy everything, but money can definitely make people lose most of the troubles in life, such as about the resettlement site. With hundreds of millions of people, Alice soon bought a 2-story building as their temporary home. After placing the items, Irisville, who had never seen the outside world, naturally couldn't sit still. Saber, look, it's a doll. The Snow White princess held the child in her arms and pulled the serious knight to stroll in this bustling city. I shamelessly ask for monthly tickets and recommendation tickets. Before March, I will be busy looking for an internship due to school requirements, so the update is more casual. I have been watching the background all the time. Thank you for your support. I still shamelessly ask for the data here. Thank you. Chapter 61, The Miracle of the Intersection of Computation and Human Reason. Please let me go. I really don't have any left, Roman said to his new apprentice with a wry smile. Xia Yu studied with Roman for a week. The reason why it took a week was mainly because Roman's narration was slow. Don't complain. Don't you want to experience human life again? 007 is the blessing of mankind. Hey. Isn't it 996? It's 007 here. Wait, no matter 007 or 996, this is illegal. The Bible, Genesis, records that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. God used the first 6 days to create the various elements that make up all things, and rested on the 7th day. Look, Didn't you say that you are your own god? God is 007, obviously it's 006, well, you are right, then you take a rest today. Remember to report here at midnight. Xia Yu closed the book, stood up, and walked out of the room. After Roman was stunned for a while. Am I being tricked? In fact, Xia Yu was joking with Roman, because he had really learned almost all of Roman's magic knowledge, and even changed the original project in his mind several times. Even in the mutual reflection of magic and ability training, he gradually combined the two. He needed some time to sort out the new power generated by the combination of engineering and magic, and prepare it into a mature system. Xia Yu planned to call it modern magic engineering. The specific situation is, using magic knowledge to activate the mystery in the soul and gather it into a project. In simple terms, by learning the magic knowledge translated by Xia Yu, the soul of the individual is constantly stimulated, and the essence of the soul is awakened, so as to complete the project in an accumulated way and become a capable person. Well, actually, it may not be appropriate to call it a capable person at that time, maybe it should be called a modern magician. Xia Yu is the first magician. Taking him as an example, we will list the status and some characteristics of the magician. First of all, the knowledge of magic is extremely corrosive and mysterious, and ordinary people can't understand or tame it at all. The new system text translated by Xia Yu suppresses the mystery so that it can be slowly accepted by people. That is to say, if the original magic knowledge is a water pipe as thick as an arm, Xia Yu now connects it to a faucet. When people are exposed to it for a long time, the water will gradually seep in, and when it reaches a critical point, they will naturally awaken their own personal reality. The advantage is that basically everyone can awaken their abilities, but the disadvantage is that it is relatively slow and requires extreme accumulation. Because the water pressure is reduced, the whole process is more like letting things take their course, which leads to people with extraordinary talents reaching the peak more slowly than magic and abilities. Magic and abilities are similar to strong generalizations and annexation. Magic requires the accumulation of knowledge and the accumulation of the power contained in knowledge, and as the saying goes, people are always limited by what they see. The power in the vast knowledge is naturally a good thing for the soul itself, but it may not be for human nature and the body. Therefore, people who learn magic are not normal in 9 aspects. And the ability, it's too much? Drugs, psychological suggestion, all kinds of weird things are used in turn, and they are split from magic. Or for quick combat power, no, that hurts the body. Xia Yu is relatively mild, and for those who are originally magicians and ability users, it is easier to transform, rather than being like ability and magic, never dealing with each other. In terms of combat, because he inherited the advantages of ability users, he can use power more quickly. Once the calculation amount is moved, he will immediately mobilize the engineering composed of countless techniques, and according to his ideas, start that part and attack. That is, he has the convenience of ability users, and because it is composed of a lot of knowledge, it still retains the diversity of magicians. Next, let's sort out Xia Yu's strength and differentiation. So far, Xia Yu will get a lot of magic knowledge from Roman, and even collect 80% of the ability formulas of the Academy City, centered around the Book of Surin, God and Man and calculation, forming a huge ritual. God and Man is Roman's understanding so far, which is divided into human destruction type, human cultivation type and human observation type. The so-called human principle is the name of magic. In simple terms, it refers to all the factors that make human civilization flourish and continue to move forward. Every choice made by humans, every historical time node, and every correct historical order are important reasons for the prosperity of human principle today. Both destruction and restoration are techniques that interfere with these nodes. Destruction destroys a node, causing errors in history and making everything unknown. Restoration repairs the wrong place and returns it to the right track. As for observation, it is Roman's final realization. Human beings, or human principles, never need so-called saviors. They will move forward for themselves. He should not interfere, just be a spectator. The Book of Surin means to officially ignite the fire of wisdom, hold up the torch for oneself, and drive away the beasts. One is to observe and interfere with human principles from the outside, and the other is part of human principles itself. So, Xia Yu, the real man and angel, is composed of a world of billions of results derived from huge data, through calculation and endless repetition. He has a nervous system composed of Surin's book in God and Man, and calculation itself as his brain. That is a miracle, a scientific miracle, the embodiment of calculation, and the embodiment of human reason. Human reason is endless, because people will always move forward. Calculation is the same. Calculation itself has no so-called purpose. It is a tool to get results, but the results are actually just the process of calculation. Xia Yu is formed by the interweaving of two endless forces. However, Xia Yu does not want to be a result of calculation, nor does he want to be a node of human reason, so Angel Xia Yu was born. Of course, this existence was not born overnight, but after Xia Yu fooled Roman and closed himself off for a period of time, it was completed. And Roman, where are you? You said I should come find you. Damn, you're in seclusion. You want me to come? I'll kill you. Solomon's wisdom made Roman understand everything. Please vote for me. Please vote for me. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62 Strengthening the Concept of Magic and Attributes. Your body is under me, and my fate is in your sword. If you follow the fate of the Holy Grail, follow this will, this truth, then answer me. I swear here, I am the one who accomplishes all the good deeds in the world, and I am the one who conveys all the evil in the world. Make your eyes chaotic and your heart violent, prisoner trapped in the cage of madness. I am the master of this chain. Entangle your three great words for 7 days. Come from the wheel of restrained, guardian of Libra. In the dark basement, after a week of preparation, Matao Korea began to call for his miracle. As before, he added something to the summoning spell. Although he was very unhappy, he had to admit that what the old bastard Matao Zhaokan said was right. With his half-baked skills, it was simply a fantasy to want to win the Holy Grail War by summoning heroic spirits normally. And if he could not win the Holy Grail War, then he would not be able to avenge Tasaka Tokiyami, and he would not be able to make Sakura happy. He knew. According to the original trajectory, Sakura had been completely devoured by the bugs, and the dirty bugs had transformed every inch of her flesh and blood. He wanted to obtain the Holy Grail, and get a legendary wish-making machine that could fulfill all wishes. Use it to completely save Sakura. Of course, he would not allow Sakura to continue to stay in the Matao mansion, so he summoned her so hastily. Theoretically, if he prepared carefully, the heroic spirit he summoned a year later would definitely be more powerful. But there is no time to wait. He has been patient for a week, and he can no longer bear it. He has to take action. Roar! The magic circle on the ground shone with a blood-red glow, and a roar like a beast appeared in the center of the formation. The dark fog formed a figure, and blood-red eyes flickered in the black fog. Go, Berserker. Bring Sakura back for me. There is no magical girl Meili-chan in this era. Really? It's so boring. Roman was operating the computer. The magical girl Meili he was talking about was a virtual anchor, but in this era when the internet was just emerging, there was no such thing. Teacher Roman. I want to ask how to do this enhanced magic. Xia Yu held a book that explained basic magic, pointed to one of the basic magics, and asked Roman. By the way, Roman started to serve as Xia Yu's mentor when he was summoned. Strengthening magic. It is a magic that temporarily improves the ability of the object by introducing magical power. If strengthening magic is applied to an object, its own effectiveness will be enhanced, such as strengthening the hardness of weapons and the sharpness of swords. If it is applied to oneself, it will strengthen the functions of the body, such as the 5 senses, strength, and speed. In addition, it can be applied to many other aspects. Moreover, a high degree of magical strengthening will raise the class of the target. If the general strengthening magic is to turn a mediocre sword into a masterpiece sword, then the high-level strengthening magic is to turn a mediocre sword into a peerless sword. If it goes higher, it involves the category of magic, and I don't know why, it can be said that among all the magics circulating today, strengthening magic is the most commonly used magic after suggestion, and it is also one of the magics with the widest range of applications. However, this magic has a very obvious weakness, and that is the strengthening effect. The essence of strengthening magic is to enhance the existence of the object, but an object may have many uses. When strengthening, it is necessary to make the necessary choices. This is the uniqueness of the effect of strengthening magic. For example, when the object to be strengthened is a sword, strengthening magic needs to choose whether to strengthen the sharpness or hardness. Strengthening magic cannot strengthen both sharpness and hardness at the same time. Moreover, strengthening magic has another characteristic, that is, it is not superimposable. After strengthening magic strengthens a certain aspect of the object, the performance of the object has been fixed. Not only will it have no effect if it is strengthened again, but even continuing to strengthen other properties is not allowed. Huh? Xia Yu listened to Roman's endless chatter, her eyes became cute and mosquito-repellent eyes, and she was dizzy. Roman's endless chatter suddenly stopped. He was used to teaching Xia Yu magic, and ignored that Xia Yu was not a monster like Xia Yu. Well, like this. I will show you first, and then we will practice slowly. Come, see? Roman picked up a pen, and magic emerged, guiding the mysterious attachment to the pen. This ordinary ballpoint pen became a sturdy pen that could leave the center of a nuclear bomb intact. This is not to enhance the power of magic, but mainly because Roman has a profound attainment in magic. In addition, because Roman is the leader of the people, Xia Yu can see the details of the enhanced magic more deeply. Oh, Xia Yu nodded. Although she didn't know why, she seemed to have grasped some key points. She only needed to try to know whether she could do it or not. She picked up the cup on the table and began to imitate Roman's mobilization. The magic circuit in her body, which was still half hidden, was mobilized. A stream of magic flowed through her body, reached her fingertips through the circuit, and then resonated with a mystery that existed in the world. Purple lines, like the texture of a circuit board, appeared on the surface of the cup, or on the material. This is because Xia Yu's control magic power is due to the vegetable, resulting in lines that can be observed by magicians. Well, a good talent. Even Roman, who was once Solomon, had to sigh at Xia Yu's excellent talent. Even as a god and a human, he rarely saw it. Of course, he had seen better things before. He was a little more versatile. He himself was born to resonate with mystery and easily manipulate mystery and magic. However, just when he was about to succeed, bang, the cup in his hand suddenly exploded, and a purple-black sphere suddenly appeared, and burst like a sea urchin in the next second. The thorns extended in all directions as if tearing the space. They were the parts directly replaced and cut from the space. Theoretically, no material could stop them. And this thing did not distinguish between friend and foe, and part of it stabbed directly at Xia Yu. A hand appeared in front of Xia Yu, briefly blocking her vision for a moment. When her vision was restored, everything returned to its original state. Oh! Is the concept of imaginary numbers so powerful? It's simply a miracle. Well, it seems that I have to help you awaken your attributes and stabilize the magic circuit first. Wait? Maybe my unscrupulous master has a better idea. Just now, it was Xia Yu's own attributes that caused the resonance of the imaginary space, causing the upper attributes to go out of control. And for King Solomon, this little thing was naturally a casual touch? Please vote for the monthly ticket. Please recommend. Chapter 63 Israeli Boxing Champion. The dark wind blew up in the courtyard, and a knight wearing black armor and covered by dark fog descended here, his blood-red eyes revealing a terrifying murderous aura. Go. Berserker, come to me, Sakura. Help me realize my wish, and I will help you too. In a dark corner, Matao Korea's eyes reflected the scenery of Matao Mansion. The appearance was the same as always, but it was less gloomy. Really? The door opened, and a man in a white coat, with messy hair, scratching his head, and looking disgusted walked out of the room. Who is he? Matao Korea was stunned. He had never seen the man in front of him. Who cares? How can he be a good person who is mixed with that old bug Zhang Yan? And he came out as soon as the berserker appeared. There is no doubt that he is a magician, or even a servant. That old thing's methods are definitely better than ours. Don't hesitate, attack. Another Matao Korea appeared beside him. You're right, Matao Korea nodded. The berserker in the yard launched an attack directly. The berserker used his legs to exert force, and the stone bricks in the yard were cracked by the berserker's power, which also brought propulsion. Oh my god, with Roman's panicked cry, a black magic sword was swung out. Roman directly caught a blade with his bare hands and clamped the blade with his hands together. Hey. I think we can talk about it. If you have anything, let's talk about it. Roman didn't want to fight. He hated force, especially the force that he had to use because he was King Solomon. Although he had let it go and no longer cared whether he was self-centered before, he still didn't change his dislike habit. Roar with the berserker's beast-like roar, he swung it to the side with a brutal movement, threw Roman off the sword, and then took a step and swung the blade again. In the moonlight, the dark magic sword shone with a sharp cold light. The blade of the sword easily tore through the air and slashed towards Roman horizontally. Oh my god, Roman bent backwards, the sword blade swept across his eyelashes, and the wind from the blade blew through his short orange hair, making it flutter. The horizontal slash failed, so the berserker raised the magic sword and slashed vertically. Roman let out an exaggerated cry and rolled over to avoid the attack. Bang! The huge force shattered the floor tiles, and pieces of debris flew around. Under the action of force, each piece of debris was comparable to a bullet at a short distance, hitting the berserker's armor, but only making a series of noises. And Roman was not hit by the debris because he rolled over. Roman sighed helplessly, got up from the ground, and patted the dust off his body. The laziness in his eyes had retreated, leaving only helplessness. Swish! Berserker's speed broke through the speed of sound, breaking through the air. The blade in his hand left a mark in the air, like a black lightning, slashing towards Roman's neck. Clang! Roman's fist blocked the blade's path, and the sharp magic sword and Roman's fist resounded with a sound of metal colliding. Enhancement magic. The enhancement magic performed by Roman turned his own fist into an existence comparable to treasure, and even the magic sword in the hand of Berserker could not tear it apart. Clang! 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 Roman opened and closed his fists. His fists were like dragons, and ancient fighting skills were displayed on his fists. Saint Fu Long, powerful magic gathered in his fists, mystery formed a concept, and ancient legends turned into power. This is an ancient fighting skill from the Bible, Jacob's brothers, a fighting skill passed down from Jacob, the nominal ancestor of King Solomon, who wrestled with the archangel. This move evolved and was improved by King Solomon. In addition to the previous enlightenment, it has transformed into Bible fighting skill. Its attack contains legends and miracles in the Bible mythology, and its power is comparable to that of a treasure. Saint Fu Long. It comes from the legend of Saint Martha subduing the dragon. Saint Martha is one of the 12 saints of Christianity and a famous Christian saint. According to the legend, Martha has a younger brother and a younger sister, both of whom are famous legendary figures. One is Lazarus and the other is Mary Magdalene. There are not many records of Martha. In the records of the legend, in addition to being a devout Christian, her greatest achievement is that she encountered monsters rampant in Tarascan and subdued the dragon Tarask at the request of the residents. From then on, Saint Martha settled in Tarascan, and the residents here also converted to the new religion of Christianity at the time under her inspiration. And Roman's move is to bless the concept of Saint Martha subduing the dragon, and its power is enough to subdue the dragon. Roman's seemingly simple straight punch actually contained a force that was strong enough to break mountains and subdue dragons. Berserker didn't know this. After all, he had lost his mind, but his intuition brought by his excellent combat experience was greatly enhanced when he lost his mind. At the moment when Roman threw a punch, he already felt a great danger and instinctively placed the magic sword in front of him. Bang! At the moment when the fist and the sword came into contact, the terrifying force burst out from Roman's fist. At this moment, Berserker was like being hit by a high-speed train running at full speed, and the huge force directly lifted him up. Berserker flew out like a cannonball, smashed the wall directly, and fell on the street. Alice. It's a pity that I didn't bring my ring. I don't feel it. Roman shook his hand, looking helpless. Roar! Berserker crawled on the street, staring at Roman like a wounded beast. He slowly climbed up, still emitting a ferocious roar from his mouth. Oh! What a mad dog. If it weren't for the fact that Master is in seclusion, I really don't want to care. Roman once again took a stance, and his eyes became serious. If the Berserker came forward, there was no doubt that Roman would not show mercy and would kill him with one punch. Enough. Let the Berserker retreat. This time, failed. No. Not yet, Sakura, Matao said unwillingly. Everything seemed to be just one step away. As long as he defeated this enemy, Sakura could be rescued. He was unwilling to accept it. Idiot. Berserker is her key. If he dies, Sakura will be completely finished. Save your strength and retreat. Let's do some special training, there's still a chance, another Matao scolded. Matao knew that what he said was true, but how could he accept it? Just one step away. Don't be stupid. Think about me. Don't be like me. Retreat. Berserker, please recommend. Please vote for the monthly ticket. Chapter 64, Nyarlathotep. The Berserker's body turned into dark mist and then dissipated. What a trouble. I just want to live a peaceful life." Roman shook his head helplessly, patted the dust off his body and turned around to go back to sleep. "Papa, as expected of you, the descendant of Jacob, the greatest king of Israel, but isn't it a bit strange for you to name a basic attack?" Xia Yu walked out of the room. When Roman was seriously fighting the enemy, Xia Yu had already ended his retreat. When he saw Roman's attack Saint Maiden subduing the dragon just now, Xia Yu also felt that this guy was boring. Although the mythological concept of the Saint Martha in the Bible mythology subduing the dragon was poured into one attack just now. However, in fact, for Roman, it was just a high-end basic attack, and the difficulty coefficient was not much different from that of strengthening magic for him. Hey. Life and work should have some sense of ritual. Compared to me, you are too boring. I don't think that giving an attack that can be performed instinctively a name that seems powerful is the so-called sense of ritual. It's not like it's originally powerful. You are really boring. Okay, I'm going to catch up on my sleep. Are you planning to track it? Roman yawned and walked into the house nonchalantly. No way. There are actually servants that the master has to risk to track? I'm just a powerless handsome man, Xia Yu said with a playful smile. Roman said nonchalantly without stopping, I can't use your yin and yang, and you have really changed a lot, and your face is getting thicker and thicker. Xia Yu leaned against the pillar and watched Roman walk into the house nonchalantly. I have to say that this guy is really lazy. I don't know which stage he is in, or the Roman in my memory who worked tirelessly and conscientiously for the future of mankind, actually did not exist. Is this the real him? However, it doesn't matter. Since he doesn't want to, Xia Yu won't force him. After the firewall didn't keep putting data into his mind, Xia Yu felt that the world was much quieter and better, and it seemed that he really felt the so-called friendship. As for whether to track it? Of course. The red gold light and shadow appeared behind Xia Yu, and countless murmurs formed waves of distortion, which blocked the sight of others, making it impossible for others to see the face of this light and shadow, and only see the world he imagined. The angel of human reason and calculation, this existence, Xia Yu named it Yu's shadow. In fact, it is the original firewall. Civilization Ark represents calculation, and Xia Yu himself is a human being. It is the product of the interweaving of the two. Go and have a look. The red light and shadow disappeared with a wave. It went to pursue the path of the attacking enemy. It jumped through space and came to a dark alley. The red light did not illuminate the surrounding darkness. It seemed to be an existence that had nothing to do with the world. In the alley, a hooded figure stood there. It's really interesting. It actually attracted such an interesting thing. A voice that sounded like a man or a woman, regardless of gender, came from the figure. His voice was indescribably weird and evil. Oh? What should I call you? This unknown evil god. Xia Yu's voice came from Yu's shadow. His voice was very noisy, like an old man, a child, a man, a woman, a villain, and a saint. It was like countless people were talking in the same tone. Hey, I didn't expect that I would encounter a being like you during my accidental play. Well, the humans here seem to have imagined a guy similar to me, so I will use that name. In other words, according to human language, my name is Nyarlathotep. The figure raised his head. His face was hard to see clearly. It seemed that there were thousands of faces, and each one was real. Nyarlathotep? And human imagination? Human language, Xia Yu understood. Humans imagine an existence, and then there happened to be an existence that was extremely similar to it. So the meaning is almost the same as Nuwa from the flower-growing family and God from the West, with different descriptions in different languages. Of course, it does not mean that they are the same person, it is just a metaphor. This existence comes from the outside world, and there happens to be a story similar to him here, so the human language Nyarlathotep is equivalent to the human language he. Hello, Mr. Nyarlathotep, then, can you explain why you offended my territory? The red gold radiance condensed in his hand and turned into raging fire. Facing such an existence, ordinary material attacks are already difficult to have an effect, and the fire in Xia Yu's hand is the flame that condenses the legendary concept of drilling wood to make fire to drive away beasts. This is the fire of wisdom that drives away beasts that are harmful to humans. It has a full restraining nature for all non-human things, and the more harmful it is to people, the more powerful it is. Now, Yu's shadow is a corner of human reason, which means that anyone who is hostile to Xia Yu will receive a super double of Siren fire. At this moment, Xia Yu can't completely control this flame, and can only use it passively. Once the opponent has no hostility to him and does not cause any harm, then this flame can be said to be powerless. And there are restrictions. If the opponent is a human, then the flame is also invalid. The mere existence of Nyarlathotep in front of him will distort the human reason of this world, and there is no need to say more about its sin. Xia Yu used Siren Fire to attack it, which was absolutely super doubled, and even resonated with a human reason of this world to obtain regional amplification. If it was done outside the world, Xia Yu would definitely be pressed on the planet, but here. Sorry, Xia Yu is the boss. Oh. It's just a small favor for an interesting little guy. Nyarlathotep said he was not afraid of Xia Yu's threat. Even though this was Xia Yu's home court, and even though Xia Yu had the power to restrain him, he was still stronger than Xia Yu by at least one level. If we had to compare, he was at least a monster as basic as Awis. Facing Xia Yu's threat, he would not be afraid. At most, he would just give up. You know what? I hate people who don't follow the rules the most, to be precise. Xia Yu hates guests who come to his territory and don't follow the rules he set the most. If they follow the rules honestly, Xia Yu will not pay attention unless there is no need. But if they break the rules and make trouble in Xia Yu's territory, he will definitely kill them the first time. You can't kill me, and I want to have fun too. How about this? I can give you my knowledge to buy a ticket. I won't take action directly. I will control my chess pieces to play the game. If the chess pieces are eliminated, I will leave, but you can't leave directly, otherwise it will be too boring. Humph! Xia Yu sneered. This evil god underestimated him, thinking that he was just for a little knowledge. You are really good at judging people, okay? There is no way he gave too much. It is of great help to Xia Yu to improve the system. Please vote for the monthly ticket. Please recommend. Chapter 65 Toolman. Roman, it's up to you, bring me victory. Roman unceremoniously opened Xia Yu's hand on his shoulder and turned to run away. Paya. Roman, my friend, this is the time when I need help. How can you leave me? Don't you love me anymore? Go away. So disgusting. I suddenly miss the old you. At least you still have that cool side. Roman pushed the smiling Xia Yu aside with disdain. He really couldn't understand how a person could change so much before and after. However, he may have selectively ignored himself. And in fact, Xia Yu's change was not big, it was just that Roman had always seen the cool side. Hey. Roman, don't you want to be a human being again? Win the Holy Grail, and you can be a human being again. Roman was silent, his heart was moved, the previous life made him satisfied and very happy, but he didn't want to experience that life again. He wanted to experience a brand new life, a leisurely and comfortable new life. If he had the chance, he also wanted to meet his old friends, Leonardo da Vinci, Matthew, Ritsuka. But it was really troublesome. What was the difference between working so hard for a peaceful life and the last time? I have to find a way to slack off. Master, I just want to live a leisurely life, sleep until I wake up naturally every morning, go to bed before 11 o'clock every night, do 20 minutes of aerobics, drink a glass of warm milk, and then go to sleep, just like a baby who doesn't leave stress to the next day. The doctor said that I live a normal life. So, wait. It's impossible. Xia Yu's unusually firm words made Roman stunned for a moment, and then he complained, Hey. Don't be so firm, there is something wrong with what you said, you can't do it. It should be, you are idle every day, playing games at night, and crazy about chasing anchors during the day. You basically don't go to bed, and you must take your computer to bed. You are a social loser day after day and year after year. As for the doctor saying that you are normal, that's right, because you are a doctor, the defense was broken. Master, you are too much? I'm like, there was no answer. I've thought of a good idea, don't you think it's a bit awkward to change the subject? I can improve the servant summoning ceremony, cheat and summon an extra servant, and then we can find a tool man to work for us. Roman continued to talk about his own idea as if he didn't hear Xia Yu's complaints. Well, your idea is very good. I didn't expect that you, a social loser, have quite a lot of ideas. Don't call me a social loser, it's really too much. I'm praising you, no one would believe it. Hey. Gentlemen, can cheating, avoid talking about it with me as the organizer. Justice squatted on the side, looking at the two people who were complaining to each other expressionlessly. You also call me the organizer? You are at most a prize. Xia Yu spoke mercilessly, which has basically become an instinct engraved in his DNA. Justice still looked at the two expressionlessly. Well, Miss Justice, you see, we are all here to save humanity. For the first thing of such a lofty ideal, any small flaws can be ignored. Xia Yu patted Justice's shoulder and said shamelessly. Justice didn't say anything, but her body turned into a bubble and left the room. Master. This Justice, don't say it, some things are unnecessary, we know, she knows it too. Some things are known to everyone, but there is no need to say them. Roman. Xia Yu's expression became solemn and his tone became gloomy. What's wrong? Roman's expression also became serious. He knew that the things that could make Xia Yu show such an expression would definitely not be a trivial matter. Xia Yu said in a deep voice, where should I find this tool man? Roman's face also fell, gloomy and scary. Regarding this master's question, he felt that it made sense. Birds of a feather flock together. There are always several drama queens around a drama queen. How about a martial arts contest to win a bride? Roman, you sacrifice yourself, why not you sacrifice yourself? Aren't you much prettier than me? It's hard to tell who is the male or female if you change your clothes. I am the last trump card between you and me. Have you ever seen someone use a trump card at the beginning? You're not going to make a move, forcing the line. So, you go and seduce the man, and I'll make a move at the critical moment, okay? The two shameless guys were showing off the bottom line crazily. I wonder if Mr. Matao is here? I'm Imida Kiritsugu. I have something to discuss. A voice was transmitted to the ears of the two through the vibration of the magic barrier. Imida Kiritsugu. Why is he here? In memory, this person belongs to the Eansburn camp and has no experience of going to the Matao family. Xia Yu's calculation power penetrated his body and instantly swept over his body, but did not find any servants. Come here alone? Or is there something unexpected? Well, just meet him. I didn't expect that the famous magician killer would come to my humble home. Could it be that he has received a mission to hunt me down? The fake Matao Zhaokan, condensed by Xia Yu through the AIM force field, appeared in the courtyard. Since Imida Kiritsugu wanted to meet Matao Zhaokan, let him meet him. Of course not. Mr. Matao, I heard that the Matao family did not have anyone to participate in this Holy Grail war. Imida Kiritsugu's eyes were as calm as a pool of dead water. There was no light in his eyes. This was a person who was in and accustomed to darkness. He had done a deep investigation of the Matao family before he came. The Matao family, one of the three great families, has declined, and the magic bloodline in the family has even been cut off. If it weren't for the seemingly dry and thin old man in front of him, I'm afraid it would have become an ordinary family. Oh, that's right, but, so what? Imida Kiritsugu, Roman and Xia Yu, who were watching from inside the house, both smiled. They looked at each other and saw what the other meant. The tool man is here. I want to fight on behalf of the Matao family. A smile appeared on Imida Kiritsugu's resolute face, and his lifeless eyes unexpectedly showed his confidence. Oh, then, let's talk. 3 hours later, Imida Kiritsugu walked out of the Matao mansion with a confident smile, casually looked for his hand, and a car drove towards him not far away, picked him up and left. Xia Yu and Roman on the second floor watched him go away through the window. How pathetic. Putting the hope of saving mankind on an uncertain cup, Roman's eyes were full of pity. Humans never need to be saved, they just save themselves. When they think they can save humanity, they themselves are not human, because they put themselves in a higher place. And humans will tell them. They are not qualified. This is the true meaning of human reason. Humans can only save themselves, and only in this way can they be human. Please recommend. Please vote for the monthly ticket. Chapter 66, The Evil God's Followers. You need to become stronger. The enemy's power is far beyond your imagination, Korea. I ask you, do you have the awareness to abandon everything, twist your body, and sell your soul to the devil in exchange for power? In the temporary residence of Matao Korea, two Matao Koreas stood opposite each other. Or rather, Matao Korea and Nyarlathotep. One after another, pictures emerged, including the past pictures of Tausika Tokiyami and Zenjo Aoi getting married, the pictures of Sakura, Rin and even Aoi playing, the future pictures of Sakura being swallowed by insects, the pictures of Tausika Tokiyami's uncleared death, and the pictures of Zenjo Aoi being strangled to death by him. From the escape to the end, he was like a clown. He had always been self-righteous and used his ID card, an ID card copy, to beat the 5-2s and 6-2s of that group of people. He needed power enough to save everything. He was a very cowardly person, so he gave up staying in Matao, so he didn't dare to rush into the ceremony hall when Tausaka Tokiyami and Zenjoui got married, because he was far away. He didn't have the courage to trade with the devil, but the desire to protect everything gave him courage. Come on. Even if my body is twisted into a monster, even if my soul is swallowed by the devil, as long as I can protect everything, it doesn't matter. Without confusion or hesitation, Matao Korea showed the brilliance of a human at this moment. That's right. That's it. Only in this way, you are enough for me to pay the price and play with a chess piece, outside the world, or outside the solar system. A huge shadow showed a happy smile. Come on. Do you hear it? He is calling you, and he will give you power, accompanied by Nyarlathotep's words. The call from the dark was transmitted to Matao Korea's mind. With his response, his consciousness seemed to transcend his body, and his consciousness was constantly rising. He saw Fuayuki, Neon, the Earth, the solar system, and finally, the huge indescribable behemoth was entrenched outside the solar system, and he was inside the solar system. The two sides seemed to be close at hand, but they were light years away. The invisible barrier blocked the two, causing Matao Korea to only admire the existence from afar. He should also be thankful for the barrier, otherwise even if Nyarlathotep had good intentions towards him, the madness and forbidden knowledge would engulf him in an instant. That's right, just his appearance alone was poisonous knowledge. It's not that Nyarlathotep couldn't come in, it's just that it was unnecessary. Taking this step would cause a lot of unnecessary trouble, such as the counterattack of the consciousness of many planets here. Come. Become my apostle, walk on the earth, and I will give you power. The noisy and strange voice spread from outside the world. He didn't know what language it was, but the moment it entered his ears, he understood the meaning. At the same time, twisted tentacles also grew out of his consciousness, and the pain instantly spread throughout his consciousness, just like the pain of bones breaking through the skin. That was the price of communicating with him, and Matao Korea understood it in an instant. Then what is the price? Talking requires a price, so a contract must also require one. Your body, your soul, everything about you, there was no choice. Jian Tongyanai was not a fool. Countless stories told him that signing a contract with the devil was definitely the most stupid act. The arrogance you thought you could benefit from it was brought to you by them. Jian Tongyanai knew very well that once the contract was signed, he would definitely become a puppet of the devil. But at the same time, the devil also had one advantage, that is, never lying. You can get everything it promised you, but the price was far more than what you got. Value. In the oldest things, trading was to trade your useless things with what you needed, and the trading at that time was the value of the heart. There was no so-called benchmark. As long as you needed it, you would make money. And at this moment, Jian Tongyanai knew that once he agreed, everything would be taken back at the time of settlement. But, at least at this moment he had gained power, and the power he gained would allow him to protect everything he wanted and realize everything he wanted. So what if the future would be reduced to ashes with interest? Because, he didn't need power in the future, but needed power now. So, he made money. Come on. Unknown great being, I am willing to sign a contract with you, please grant me strength. The words were filled with determination, and the heart of Matao Korea made him fearless. Even if he eventually fell into the abyss, he would never regret fear before falling into the abyss. Because, he needed it now. Silently recite my name, accept my gift, go. Go and perform a stage play, worthy of my ticket. The name of the indescribable god in front of him, at this moment, emerged from Matao Korea's heart. Crawling chaos, Matao Korea could only understand the language that the god in front of him made him understand. Although he couldn't understand the latter part, it didn't matter. His consciousness became heavier, and he fell straight towards the planet, like a meteor. The power of chaos and distortion took root in the soul, and continued to spread like a tree. Neon Matao Korea's body suddenly exploded, blood and flesh splattered, and blood mist filled the air. Eyes appeared one by one on the remaining flesh and blood, above the blood mist floating in the air, and the eyeballs moved quickly like steel balls, spinning straight and round. Thousands of eyes overlapped and squeezed densely in this small space. If a patient with intensive phobia was here, he would faint in an instant. Nyarlathotep smiled as he looked at the strange space. The space twisted and squeezed together, forming a human figure. The twisted and ominous magic power spread out, and crazy whispers kept murmuring. The new Metropolis appeared, an apostle blessed by the evil god, a monster walking on the earth. According to the Cthulhu mythos imagined by everyone, then Metropolis at this moment can also be regarded as an old one. At this moment, he surpassed the magician and became a real alien, a monster. It was a terrifying creature that could rival the demons of the Age of Gods, and its essence was a broken space. Roar! The terrifying magic power improved the attributes of the berserker. The attributes that were originally at the top of the servants were further improved. The magic power he condensed far exceeded that of a normal servant. His current strength was infinitely close to his former self when he was still alive. And this extremely crazy and twisted magic power was further destroying his consciousness as it was strengthened, making him even crazier. Chapter 67, Science Magic. Master, I really don't know whether the magic you developed is genius or heresy. It completely violates the common sense that mystery needs to be hidden, and makes mystery acceptable to everyone. It is really unheard of. Roman was discussing magic with Xia Yu. After hearing Xia Yu's newly developed magic, or more precisely, the system, Roman said in shock. This system can be said to have overturned all the previous rules and reshaped a new system. Even Roman didn't know how to evaluate this. Isn't the purpose of knowledge to be learned? They are always looking for users and disseminators, so, just as they wish, let everyone know the wisdom they contain. Mystery must be hidden? This so-called rule is selfish and stupid. Mystery is indeed limited. To be precise, each mystery is limited, but there are infinite mysteries. The foolish and inflexible magicians monopolized an infinitely large cake workshop, using one of the cake baking machines to make cakes, and they self-righteously occupied the entire mystery. What they didn't know was that this factory was infinitely large and could accommodate countless people and produce countless cakes. Quantity would produce quality, among which there would be high-quality cream cakes and fruit cakes, etc. Everyone could learn and make progress. Over and over again, more and more strange and delicious cakes appeared, and even the so-called absolute magic became a reality. The new system created by Xia Yu was to open the entire cake workshop without any threshold, as the key to the self-service cake room. At the beginning, knowledge opened up personal reality, and later people used knowledge to transform their own personal reality. And the system itself is a marginal use of the concept of third law. Great, Master, you will create a new era. Then are you willing to help me? Roman, people need knowledge, and knowledge also desires to be owned by people. People master knowledge, and knowledge tests humans. This system will be the foundation of Xia Yu. If we use the words of fairy tale novels, it is the foundation of enlightenment. Recruit everyone to enter the workshop called Mystery, use the wisdom of countless people to create more value for Xia Yu, and then use calculations to obtain countless wisdom. Changing the times, what a romantic word, no man will refuse. Daga. Kautuvalu. I, Ramani Akiman, just want to live a peaceful life. The ideal of spreading wisdom and changing the times will prevent me from sleeping well at night. For my night's sleep, I refuse your help. He has worked hard enough. As Solomon, as a doctor for 10 years, he has worked hard enough. Now, he just wants a peaceful life and wants to have ordinary happiness like a dead otaku. Well, I knew you would answer like this. Xia Yu shrugged. He didn't expect Roman to help him. Master, you are too cunning, so I refuse to discuss this issue with you to prevent you from tricking me. I am leaving now. By the way, regarding the matter of Sakura that I told you before, you should come up with a plan. After saying this, Roman left. Imaginary number. Xia Yu recalled what Roman told him about Xia Ying. The nature of her essence is too strong, which makes her extremely sensitive to any stimulation and automatically respond. This is somewhat similar to Xia Yu's beginning. At that time, Xia Yu was just a machine, and all activities were basically suppressed until the appearance of the firewall or Xia Yu. However, the gap between Xia Ying and Xia Yu is still very large, and Xia Yu's current methods are also advancing by leaps and bounds. Let's proceed step by step. After a brief thought, Xia Yu chose the safest way, which is the normal method of the modern magic engineering he founded. Through the pseudo-magic book written by Xia Yu, Xia Ying naturally awakened her personal reality, and then communicated her attributes through her personal reality. In a very short time, Xia Yu sorted out all the magic books and magic knowledge he had read, and a temporary scientific magic was born from Xia Yu's pen. If a professional magician were to look at it, This book would be between an ordinary book and a magic book. It seemed to have no power, or the power was very small, but the wisdom it contained was far beyond that of an ordinary magic book. Logically, the wisdom on it should not have only such a weak mystery, but it only has a weak power that ordinary people would not be hurt. But it is different from a regular magic book. It is an unfinished magic book. So far, there is only one unfinished magic book. Only a completed magic book will show mystery and power, and before it is completed, they will not have a trace of power, because they have not been recognized by the mystery, and they are not considered wisdom. Even if the same author has realized something new in the later period and continues to write on the same magic book, it only means that a new magic book is completed, and the incomplete product will become a new part. However, the incomplete product is still a complete product, there is no doubt about it. If the person who reads the magic book thoroughly understands the author's intention, then he will gain the power of the whole book, and no matter how many times he reads it afterwards, it will no longer be of any benefit. Xia Yu's Scientific Magic is a book that has power before it is finished. It will never be finished, and no one can truly understand its meaning. It is a living book, the half of Xia Yu, the calculating part. It is a world composed of countless magic data. It is like the Ark of Civilization, always calculating, and its wisdom is increasing every moment. And it is also a stepping stone for Xia Yu's future. People who watch it will always comprehend, and their understanding will also join in, giving birth to new possibilities. This is a living magic book that can be mass-produced, and it is a huge network. Normal magic books will not be repeated. Even if the same knowledge is written by the same author, there will not be two identical magic books, because the knowledge of the magic book is only auxiliary, and its core is the heart of its author. People's hearts are always changing, and there will definitely be changes between the last second and the next, even if they are so small that they cannot be small. And this book can be mass-produced infinitely, because it is updated all the time, and it itself is a change and process. Please recommend. Please vote for the monthly ticket. Chapter 68, The Illusory World of Imaginary Numbers. Study hard, feel with your heart, listen to the call of your heart, and guide your own reality. A month passed quickly, and Xia Yu taught Xia Ying every day to awaken her personal reality. Xia Ying herself was gifted, and her absorption of scientific magic was extremely perfect. Her accumulation was completed in just 1 month. At this moment, she was only one step away from awakening her personal reality. This step did not need to be forced, just let it go. But invisible waves spread out from Xia Ying as the center, and cracks revealing illusory data spread out irregularly around, and all the cut-off materials would be transformed into virtuality and integrated into it. This is a space between existence and non-existence, and its inner nature is illusory, but because of its illusory nature, it exists. Xia Ying's petite body slowly floated up, her black eyes were rendered purple, and the emotions in her eyes also dissipated, and she stared at Xia Yu with indifference. As she waved her hand, a crack appeared directly on Xia Yu's abdomen, and the material of his body instantly became illusory, with a fault between the upper and lower halves. The red light shone, the crack disappeared, and Xia Yu's body was still intact, as if nothing had happened just now. Yu's shadow unfolded a wing-like halo, and the illusory fault was directly erased. Everything seemed to have returned to the beginning, except Xia Ying, who was still floating in front of Xia Yu. The illusory light wing slowly unfolded, and the body became transparent. Everything around was distorted by it, like a dream bubble. Well, with the help of my scientific magic, carrying his will, temporarily controlling Xia Ying's body, the existence in front of him is not just something that can be explained by attributes. In human language, it is imaginary number itself, or it can be called an imaginary angel. This is based on Xia Yu's infinite possibilities of scientific magic, and with the help of Xia Ying's body, it forms an existence similar to God's descent. The combat power is about the right seed of God, that is, infinitely close to angel. Oh, you're in trouble. I knew your thing was too good. Roman appeared beside Xia Yu, looking at the existence in front of him, and said with a headache. Okay. Isn't this a good thing? That's right. Go. It's decided to be you. Xia Yu, with a smile on Roman's face and the spoof-like words, the shadow of Yu behind Xia Yu disappeared instantly. Crossing the concept of time and space, he came to Xia Ying's side. The short hair that had been rendered purple fluttered, an imaginary fault slashed towards the shadow of Yu. Use my things, transform them and come to deal with me, With Xia Yu's chuckle, the fault disappeared, and Shadow of Yu hugged Xia Ying. It was said before that the imaginary angel was based on Xia Yu's scientific magic and descended into Xia Ying's body. And the moment he used scientific magic, he was also used by scientific magic. His essence has been seen through by Xia Yu, and everything about him has been understood by Xia Yu. For enemies of the angel class, once their essence is grasped by enemies of the same level, they will inevitably fall into a disadvantage. The red light shone, and Yu's shadow disappeared in this phase, crossing some unknown barrier and coming to a world with only countless illusory data. Imaginary space. How stupid. No. You have no wisdom at all, you are a fool who acts on instinct, so let me use you as a gift for my lovely awakening. The red light began to shine. Calculate. 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 Boom! The collision of something in the dark resounded in this space with a huge sound. He was struggling, he was resisting. He was the consciousness of this space, without wisdom, only instinct. It was instinctive for the god to descend to Xia Ying, to resist, and to struggle. But, it's over. He no longer had any room for maneuver, because his instinctive and foolish behavior had thoroughly understood Xia Yu. He could not escape, just like a wild animal could never escape from a trap carefully prepared by an old hunter who had lived in the mountains for decades. Once trapped, it would be impossible to escape by relying on oneself except for external forces. As for external forces? How could an external force that could resist Xia Yu just happen to pass by this illusory phase and be willing to attack Xia Yu instead of taking a share? Even if the body of that being is described as covering the sky and blocking the sun, it is just a disdain for him. His body is like the world of heaven and earth. It is an absolute mass, a terrifying existence that can crush the world and burst the world. A huge figure stood up from the sea of illusion. He looked like a human woman, with a pair of huge horns like argily on his head, symbolizing the authority of his master to control the earth. His face was delicate, and his perfection was like a sculpture of heaven and earth. His long hair was as light blue as the seawater, and each strand was like the legendary earth dimension connecting heaven and earth. Billions of stars were reflected in his eyes, and the stars stayed in his eyes like the ocean. The dark blue clothes covered his hands, feet and three important parts, and there was nothing else. The part symbolizing the human heart was extremely huge, so huge that people couldn't help but fall into it. His body was infinitely large, and its mass was enough to smash through the world. Only this illusory imaginary world could make it stay. Get him? An unprecedented emotion appeared in Xia Yu's mind. He wanted to get this being. Greed, real greed, not just a casual act like Xia Yu before. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69, Tiamat. Xia Yu's action seemed to awaken the ancient existence that had been sleeping in the imaginary space for a long time, and the capture of the imaginary space had to be temporarily stopped. Should we retreat temporarily? Xia Yu thought quickly. The situation was somewhat beyond his expectations. He really didn't expect that there were still beings living in the imaginary world. It doesn't mean that there can't be living things in the imaginary world, but the instinct of the imaginary world is to transform everything into imaginary numbers. No matter what kind of existence enters here, it will attack it. Logically speaking, no existence should be willing to stay here. Even Xia Yu can't see through the essence of the existence in front of him, and it is impossible to understand it in a short time. It doesn't seem to be a wise move to fight with it here. However, Xia Yu doesn't want to leave. It's not because of reluctance. Although the essence of calculation has been suppressed, Xia Yu no longer instinctively moves according to interests, and it is easier to move forward with emotions, but for now, there is no rush. The imaginary space is already a meal on the plate, and it can be easily swallowed up at any time. Xia Yu has plenty of time to prepare. But Xia Yu doesn't want to leave. Desire. Xia Yu wanted to get the giant in front of him. He needed him. Bang! A huge arm like a pillar of heaven stretched out from the sea of illusion. The influence of pure matter made the entire sea of illusion turbulent. He opened his palm like a white gem, and his crystal clear and beautiful fingers opened one by one. At that moment, Xia Yu felt that everything he saw was covered by this beautiful palm. No matter how he shifted his sight, he could never escape. Just like the moment when the Monkey King, who went to heaven and earth, was in the palm of Tathagata in Journey to the West. That was big. The so-called big and small are relative, that is to say, it is a concept. At this moment, the palm showed the concept of big, covering the sky and the sun, and there is no end. A grip. It can be seen that the owner of this beautiful palm is very gentle, even cautious, but the huge change brought about by the simple volume formed a hurricane that was enough to crush the planet. Even the sea of imaginary numbers was affected by this hurricane, producing a natural phenomenon similar to a sea tornado. Compared to the so-called sea tornado, this tornado is interwoven with thunder and fire, and rotates the virtual reality. If a planet is thrown into it, it will undoubtedly turn into an apple put into a juicer. He called again, and this time his call contained desire. Like Xia Yu, he also longed for Xia Yu. The giant hand clenched, but there was no feeling of grasping. The illusory figure passed through the palm, and the wing-like light wheel extended a series of light wings, the end of which connected to the entire imaginary world. Can fight, because Xia Yu had thoroughly understood the imaginary space, he was used by Xia Yu. Those light wings were constantly mobilizing the power of the imaginary space to bless him. And with the imaginary space as a power bank, Xia Yu could completely fight the huge existence in front of him. The body of Yu's shadow turned into a red flame. Fear. The emotion conveyed by the sound waves this time was fear. He was afraid of the flames. Afraid of the fire of wisdom that drives away wild beasts. The eyes reflecting the sea of stars stared at Xia Yu intently, with desire and fear in them. Xia Yu raised his hand, and the raging fire turned into a spear, which he threw directly out. The flaming spear fell like a meteor across the sky, and accurately pierced his abdomen. Bang! The raging fire penetrated his abdomen, and the blazing fire swept his whole body in an instant. Wailing, pain, and sadness? The huge existence's eyes were full of sadness, and his hands stretched out again, reaching towards Xia Yu. The raging fire condensed again, and a new flaming spear gathered in Xia Yu's hands again. The hands paused, as if they were hesitant, or afraid, but they still stretched out towards Xia Yu again. Xia Yu frowned, hesitated for a moment, and threw the spear in his hand again. Once again, the spear pierced his body, and the flames burned his body again. The fiery spear condensed once again, and at the moment when the spear condensed, his hand quickly retracted and placed in front of him, looking at Xia Yu hesitantly, just like a young animal abandoned by its mother, or a mother abandoned by her son. The desire in Xia Yu's heart was still urging Xia Yu to take action. Kill him, subdue him, hug? It should be said that cooperation and win-win. Killing is undoubtedly the easiest, and as a man, Xia Yu likes the second one, but, since the third one will appear from Xia Yu's choice at this moment, it means that Xia Yu also wants to cooperate with him. The reason? I don't know, maybe it can be called a whim. What should I do? Come on. Give me some guidance. Me, hey. Why haven't you done it for so long? You are so lame. Roman's voice spread from the main body to hear. So, you are very brave. Then Roman appeared in this illusory sea. Tiamat? How is that possible? Isn't she, Tiamat? The goddess of creation in the myth of Mebudazo, Xia Yu asked in surprise. Yes, and, she is also a beast. Beast, yes, the beast of disaster is the most horrible natural disaster, a huge disaster that can destroy the entire human race, and only they can destroy humanity. Roman was held in the air by Xia Yu, and continued with the complicated expression, their evil also comes from their love. Because they love humans, they will destroy humans. They are the evil of humanity, so that's it. Goddess of creation, human evil, don't want to hurt my child? It seems, there is a more labor-saving method. Xia Yu threw Roman into the sea of illusion and slowly flew towards Tiamat. Boom! Seeing Xia Yu approaching, Tiamat instinctively wanted to open her arms, but immediately retracted them, took a step back, and shrank back in fear. Has your heart been hurt by your son? Xia Yu paused in the air, the flames ignited again, and he was thrown out instantly. Tiamat instinctively hugged herself together, waiting for the next pain, but what came was not pain, but warmth and healing. Tiamat raised her little head in confusion, and Xia Yu had already arrived in front of him. She opened her arms and hugged him. Big and small were just a concept to them, and the two of them were almost the same in Tiamat's desire. Joy came from the joy of the child finally accepting his mother. The previous pain and hurt were all forgotten at this moment. And all that was remembered was the warmth of the moment. And Xia Yu expressed his shame, saying that he was not a human. Because he actually just wanted to use Tiamat now. Please recommend. Please vote for the monthly ticket. Chapter 70 Imaikiritsugu. Master Matao, I hope to talk to you about the other contestants of the Holy Grail War. I think this matter is very important, and it is more appropriate to discuss it in your house. Imaikiritsugu glanced around. They were now in a Chinese restaurant, and there were people coming and going around. In such a place, it was obviously not suitable to discuss such things. Haha, it's okay, Mr. Imaikiritsugu. Snap with a snap of the fingers of Matao Zhaokan, who was pretended by Xia Yu. The two of them seemed to be disconnected from the surroundings for a moment, and a pseudo-temple was completed. Imaikiritsugu glanced silently, and had to admit that the old man's move in front of him really surprised him. No ceremony, no chanting, just a snap of the fingers, a difficult barrier was completed, and they were directly placed in another space. Mr. Imaiya, please speak, Matao Zhaokan, played by Xia Yu, smiled slightly. Okay, Master Matao, here are the data I collected about the contestants of this Holy Grail War. Imaikiritsugu took out a dozen documents from his briefcase and handed them to Xia Yu. The first page was about a man dressed in priest clothes, named Katamin Kairi. This time's contestants should not be underestimated. There is the monarch of the Magic Association Clock Tower, Kenneth L. Meloy Archipelago. He is a color-level magician recognized by the Clock Tower, and his methods are definitely not ordinary. Imaikiritsugu pulled out a document. The man on the document had a conspicuous lemon head and stood with an arrogant expression. This person is a dead bone in a grave. Xia Yu took a glance and immediately made a conclusion. Not only the original memory, but also according to the information at this moment, this person is just arrogant, and he does not have the absolute strength of Xia Yu. If he comes to participate in the Holy Grail War, he will die. That's true for you, but for ordinary magicians like us, he's a great enemy. Imaikiritsugu actually thought so too. Based on the information about Kenneth's strength, he had a way in mind to use his arrogant and backward thinking to kill him 1,000 times. Of course, this was because Imaikiritsugu didn't know Kenneth's true strength at this time. Otherwise, although he was confident, he would definitely pay more attention to him. This, your old friend, the head of the Tausika family, Tausika Tokimi. This person is more difficult to deal with than any other monarch. He has been preparing for this day for many years. And he has an assistant, this world, cough cough. Tokimi. It's okay, he's a fool. He cares too much about this Holy Grail War, so he won't dare to take risks. It's not worth mentioning, according to Xia Yu's memory of Tausika Tokimi, it was because he cared too much about the Holy Grail War, didn't dare to take risks, and was always submissive, which eventually led to his death. Is that so? Then this one, the contestant of the Eansburn family, Imaikiritsugu drew another card. There was a woman who was basically the same as Justicia, beautiful and delicate, not like a human. I don't know much about the Eansburn family, and I can't make any comments on them. Xia Yu just said He looked at the woman on the screen with interest, then looked at Imaikiritsugu and asked, Mr. Imaiya, have you ever considered cooperating with the Eansburn family before? Yes, but they refused. Imaikiritsugu said expressionlessly. It seems that I have become a spare tire. This Katamin Kairi is an assistant of Tausika Tokimi and also has the command seal. He was the agent of the Holy Temple before, and his father is the agent who is currently responsible for supervising the Holy Grail War, Katamin Risei, Tisk Tokimi. It seems that he is determined to win. I remember that the Holy Grail will only choose those who desire it, right? Imaikiritsugu suddenly asked. That's right, then could this person really be just an assistant? Imaikiritsugu tapped his fingers on the table. Who knows? Xia Yu's disguised Matao Zhaokan also laughed in cooperation. Okay, Master Matao, let's talk about another serious matter. Look, Imaikiritsugu pulled up his sleeves, revealing a 3-part blood red cross mark on one arm. It is rumored that the Matao family is the family that designed the command spell system, and the power of the command spell is of great importance to the master. I want to ask, Master Matao, is there a way? Xia Yu smiled. This was Imaikiritsugu's real purpose. He wanted more command spells. And Xia Yu would certainly satisfy him. Xia Yu's palm passed over the back of Imaikiritsugu's hand. After the original 3 sections of the command spell, another section of blood red appeared. The Matao family treasured books on the command spell system. Generally speaking, the command spell system is constructed with a magic power accumulated by the Great Holy Grail, and only 3 are given. Xia Yu used his powerful magic to forcibly condense one and connected it with the Great Holy Grail. Kiritsugu, we can also participate in the Holy Grail War, right? Why? In a hotel in Fuayuki City, a woman with short green hair and a heroic look was getting dressed. She was Kiritsugu Imaya's assistant, Xia Yu. Although she only said half of it, Kiritsugu Imaya, who had been working with her for a long time, could understand what she meant. Kiritsugu Imaya sat on the bed and took a deep puff of cigarette, exhaled a smoke ring and said, "Maya, you are right, even if it is just us, we can still participate in the Holy Grail War, but you should understand that I must win, so, any opportunity that can increase the chances of winning cannot be missed," Xia Yu said naturally. "Yes, that's why I chose to cooperate with Matao. As the creators of the Holy Grail War, the 3 great families are definitely different from ordinary participants. Let alone other things, the difference in intelligence alone is different from those magicians who came from afar. Even, they might be able to do something in the Holy Grail War, and my guess is obviously right." Imaya Kiritsugu raised his right hand. There was a strange red pattern on the back of his hand. It was like 3 shurikens extending in 3 directions, and there was an extra arc outside it. This is an important prop for the Master's support in the Holy Grail War, the Command Seal. The Command Seal appeared in Imaya Kiritsugu's hand about 3 years ago. At first, until yesterday, it was just 3 shurikens, a total of 3. Kiritsugu, I feel, that old man is very wrong. Is it really okay for us to cooperate with him? Hisamaya's eyes were full of fear. I can't help it. I heard that Innsburn was recruiting helpers 10 years ago, but when I arrived, they didn't want anyone anymore. I don't know what happened, but from then on, the only one of the 3 great families I could choose was Matao. After all, it's impossible for the head of the Tausaka family to look down on a mere magus like me. For that wish. Chapter 71 Masters. Silver Iron. The contract of the Earthstone, my ancestor and my teacher, Shubei Inogu. Surging winds are blocked by 4 walls, close the 4 doors, release from the crown, and wander at the 3-way intersection leading to the kingdom, haunt your 3 great word spirits for 7 days, and come through the theory of suppression, the guardian of the balance, in the underground laboratory of Tasaka Mansion, Tasaka Tokiyami. Katamin Kaira followed Tasaka Tokiyami and looked at the servants who appeared in the formation. Although it is not who we imagined, but, we have still won, yes. Congratulations, teacher. Katamin Kaira bowed slightly and said to Tasaka Tokiyami. Cuckoo in a small mountain village, a young man secretly caught a chicken and took it outside the village. He twisted its neck and poured the chicken blood on the ground. He seemed to be drawing something. After 10 minutes, he threw the mummified rooster aside, and a huge formation appeared on the ground. The boy was named Weber, and he joined this war for the sake of a breath of air. Weber looked at the formation and took out a piece of cloth from his arms. It was a piece of red cloth that was a little torn, and it looked like a fragment of a cloak. It was the holy relic he stole from his teacher, Kenneth, the cloak of the legendary king of conquerors, Alexander Iskander. With this, it is very likely that a king who has left a heavy mark in history can be summoned. Kenneth paid a huge price to get it, but he didn't expect that Weber would snatch it away. Your body is under me, and my fate is in your sword. If you obey the fate of the Holy Grail, obey this will and this truth, then answer me. I swear here, I am the one who accomplishes all the good deeds in the world, and I am the one who conveys all the evil in the world. Entangle your 3 great words for 7 days, come from the wheel of restraint, guardian of Libra, with a blue light. A 2-meter tall burly man stood in the center of the formation. He bent down to pick up the fragments of the cloak on the ground and looked at Waver over there. Unimaginable majesty was contained in that look. Waver subconsciously retreated to the back, but before retreating, his legs weakened, so he sat on the ground. Oh. Sorry, I scared you, little master. But you are really careless. Iskander laughed heartily, and it was not obvious that he was embarrassed, but later he became serious again and looked up at the sky. Look. Master, we've been discovered. Iskander pointed to the sky, and Waver looked over. With his eyes enhanced by magic, he saw the bird flying in the sky. That is, Waver said in panic. Even though he was not very mature, he knew that in a battle between magicians, the first one to be exposed would be at a disadvantage. Don't panic, kid. We've just been discovered by the enemy. Ho ha ho ha, hey. How can you be so calm? You know, if you're discovered, kid, there's no use hiding blindly. You will be exposed sooner or later. Besides, it's just that we have discovered our appearance. It's not our real name, so why panic? Oh yes, there's nothing to panic, hey. Tell your master that I am Iskander, the king of conquerors. I have come here as a writer. Ask him if he is interested in joining me. I will share the joy of victory and conquest with him, eh? What are you doing? Master. Do you want me to get rid of that thing that has been monitoring us since outside the airport? No need. It's just a cunning trick of the villains. Let me, the contemporary monarch of El Meloy, tell them with absolute strength who is the strong one. On the top floor of Fuyuki Hotel, Kenneth was talking to his servant. He looked out from the floor-to-ceiling window, and the whole Fuyuki seemed to be in his eyes. The Fuyuki Hotel is the tallest building in the entire Fuyuki, nearly 150 meters high. As a base, this is a good place for him. Kiritsugu, is it really okay for us to summon the servant directly without talking to the guy from the Matau family? It's okay. That guy is very strange. We have to be on guard against him. Entangle your 3 great word spirits for 7 days. Come from the wheel of restrained, guardian of Libra. In the church of Fuyuki City, Katamin Kairai showed the command seals behind his hand and chanted the words to call the servant. In the light, a burly figure appeared in Katamin Kairai's eyes. I am rushing from the valley of the netherworld, the dark death. I am Hassan among the old man Hassan in the mountains. Hassan Saba. Master, do you need the help of an assassin? Wearing a simple and dark heavy armor, the huge western two-handed sword was lifted by one hand, and the tattered cloak stuck out from the gap in the heavy armor, fluttering in the wind. Wearing a terrifying pale bone skull mask, his voice was like an ancient bronze bell. The warrior who called himself assassin stood in the church. Katamin Kairai looked a little surprised, not because of the clothes of the man who called himself assassin, but because Walter, with Katamin Kairai's slightly surprised voice, the two looked at each other in confusion. Their voices were exactly the same. Hey, hey, hey. No way. Would they choose someone like me? It's too weird. In a city in distant Britain, in an unknown and extremely weak magic family, the only remaining member of the family, a little girl who was only about 5 years old, spoke with doubt and joy. After the girl finished talking to herself, countless light spots like elves appeared in the room that should have been dim. Red lines like wings appeared on the girl's back, emitting majestic magic. The girl holding a flag representing victory appeared here. I never thought that the saint of the temple would choose a heretic like me to descend. So interesting, then. Saint? What do I need to cooperate with you? There is no need to call me a saint. I am just a village girl who believes in the Lord. I am not worthy of such a noble title, then. Sister Jean, the girl showed a happy smile on her face. She was looking up and down at Jean in front of her, as if she was looking at something interesting. Jean frowned slightly. She didn't like the girl's eyes that seemed to treat her as an object, but she still liked the girl's address. Has she been infected with bad habits by the sinful heretic? As long as I teach her well, I will definitely be able to make her move towards a better life. Jean thought so. But, sometimes, some things may really be innate. Go to Fuyuki to participate in the Holy Grail War. Someone violated the rules. Please recommend. Please vote for the monthly ticket. Chapter 72 The Holy Grail War of 10 Servants. Fill it. Fill it. Fill it. Fill it. Repeat it 4 times. Oh, 5 times? 1 less time? Let's start over. In the dark and small room, the carefree young man hummed the spell of the heroic spirit. As he spoke, he used warm blood to draw the pattern of the summoning circle on the floor of the living room. As a villain who was intoxicated by the pleasure of killing, Ryunosuke was just a demon in human skin. This was his 4th crime. Even if the police station was doing nothing, a few more times would completely focus on this matter. Let's leave Fuyuki City after tonight. Ryunosuke Urayu thought so, but soon came back to his senses and continued to focus on drawing the summoning circle in front of him. Maybe the real ceremony should be more weird and solemn? But that doesn't fit Ryunosuke Urayu's relaxed and casual habits. It's more important to feel comfortable than to imitate. When the magic circle was drawn, a complex pattern appeared in front of Ryunosuke. Did it succeed in 1 try? Really, there is still so much stock left. Ryunosuke Usuji sighed, and the remaining blood was artistically painted into several evil spirits on the four sides of the wall. After doing all this, he scratched his head in annoyance. I was too quick, otherwise I would have killed a daughter and enjoyed the expressions of parents who witnessed this, right, but there is no use in regretting it. The distressed expression turned into a simple smile. Well, it's not a good idea to always dwell on the past. The young man once again followed the instructions in the book. Fill it up, fill it up, fill it up, fill it up, fill it up. This time it's the 5th time. Okay, after doing all this, Ryunosuke Tsuji walked towards the little boy who was tied up and thrown in the corner by him, and admired the child's reaction when he stared at the remains of his blood relatives. Hey, kid, do you believe in the existence of demons? He didn't care how the gagged kid would answer, and talked to himself casually. Until the end, Ryunosuke approached the child, his pupils widened and ferocious, reflecting the child's expression at this time. Do you think that demons eat children? As if he had sensed something, the child, who was filled with fear, completely understood the meaning. Woo. Woo. The covered mouth made intermittent sounds, and the eyes were wide open and full of fear. Looking at the child's fearful appearance, Ryunosuke Tsuji was like a naughty child who had successfully played a prank. He giggled non-stop. Just when Ryunosuke wanted to continue, the TV in the living room suddenly broadcast a news report. The content of the news was the recent serial murders in Fuyuki City. It also mentioned that magic circles drawn with blood had appeared in recent times. Relevant people suspected that this was a heinous crime committed by members of a cult organization. This is simply a demon. Tisk tisk. You actually called me a demon. Ryunosuke smacked his lips in joy, and then he suddenly looked at the child who was tied up and still terrified. Hey, kid, do you think I look like a demon? It's said above, so I have a lot of potential, right? But I'm just an ordinary person, not a real demon. It would be great if I could summon a demon. Oh, kid, after I summon the demon, can I ask you to be eaten by it? Ugh, woo-woo-doo. The little boy widened his eyes in fear and made a whining sound in his mouth. Oh. This expression is really good. It seems that the summoning tonight will fail again. Then I can only enjoy it myself. Kid, can you show a more scared expression? Hiss. It hurts, until the intense pain on the back of his hand covered and wiped out his smile. Is this a tattoo? The sharp-eyed Ryunosuke noticed the pattern that appeared on the back of his right hand after the pain. Huh? Before Ryunosuke felt sick and uneasy, the sudden airflow in the closed room made him turn his head in surprise. In Ryunosuke's view, this was a miracle. A weak air current was blowing in the tightly closed space. The air current was gradually getting stronger, and finally turned into a colorful and fierce whirlwind that swept the living room. The summoning array drawn in the middle of the floor was shining with a faint gem-colored luster. Ryunosuke stared at this scene that went against common sense in disbelief. The effect of deceiving children has become a real reality. What is this scene that subverts the common sense of ordinary people? Before Ryunosuke could recall it, the air current in the room became stronger and stronger. The summoning array that was brewing and running gave off a strange scene of lightning sparks, flying and rushing. There was also a faint white mist-like gas spreading. The array drawn by blood was blooming with an ominous light at this moment. I ask you, the summoner who pursued me, summoned me, and made me appear in the world as a caster, please tell me your name. Who are you? The strange phenomenon subsided. The person summoned was not a monster with a green face and fangs, nor a demon with horns on his head, but a human who looked a little more simple. Although he was dressed strangely and his eyes looked a little strange, he looked like a human being. If you really want to say something, he looked like a wizard at most. My name is Ryunosuke Tsuji. I'm a freelancer. My hobby is killing people. I like women and children. Ryunosuke Tsuji briefly introduced himself. The devil in front of him was not what he imagined. Very good, then our contract is established. The Holy Grail you are pursuing is also my sad wish. We will definitely be able to seize it. Holy Grail. Ryunosuke Tsuji scratched his head in confusion. He didn't know what it was, but it didn't sound like a treasure from the dark side. Of course, he didn't care. What he just thought was whether it was a demon or not, so he said, anyway, let's have a celebration party first. Do you want to eat? Ryunosuke Tsuji turned sideways, revealing the child who was tied up tightly behind him. Woo woo woo, the little boy screamed in fear. He saw that this devil appeared out of thin air. In his young mind, it was probably a real demon. He didn't want to be eaten. The demon took a look and took out a book from his arms. When Ryunosuke Tsuji saw the material, he exclaimed in surprise, "Amazing, this book is made of human skin." Hearing this, the demon looked at Ryunosuke Tsuji again. He didn't expect that his master had such excellent eyesight, but he ignored Ryunosuke Tsuji and opened the book to read something. Then he began to gradually approach the child. Fear enveloped the heart of the child on the ground. He struggled hard, but it was in vain. He couldn't get rid of the layers of tape. The demon was still approaching, and the child's heart was already terrified to the extreme. But, the demon tore off the tape and let the child go. His smile at this moment was as kind as a priest listening to confessions, and his appearance, which was originally a bit scary, became holy. "Hey!" Ryunosuke Tsuji shouted unwillingly, but was stopped by the demon. He watched the child leave, just when he was about to lose control. The unspeakable tentacles wrapped around the child's body, dragging him from the morning light into the darkness of the eternal night. The chewing sounds and screams resounded throughout the room. Great! Ryunosuke Tsuji was as excited as a poor student who was about to finish his exam and saw the answers on the first paper in the class. You know, Ryunosuke, fear has a freshness. The more afraid you are, the more completely your feelings will disappear. The real fear is not a static state, but a changing state. It is the moment when hope turns into despair. How about it? This fresh taste of fear and death, Ryunosuke Tsuji instinctively grasped the hand of the devil in front of him, and said excitedly, "Great, I want to follow you, but I don't know what your name is." "Name?" Then Bluebeard. Although this chess piece has no meaning, it may bring the unexpected surprises. With the intervention of Xia Yu and Nyarlathotep, this Holy Grail war gradually became weird. So far, 10 servants have arrived. 2 berserkers? 2 casters? 1 ruler? It's getting more and more confusing, but it doesn't matter. It's more interesting this way. Justice felt the fluctuations of the Holy Grail and had confirmed that there were 9 units connected to it, and 1 that was completely independent of the Holy Grail. It didn't matter. The increase in sacrifices was also good for her. Chapter 73: A Strange Beginning. The Holy Church informed me that the last servant, Caster, has appeared. Katamin Kairi stood on a high mountain, gazing at the brightly lit Fuyuki city below. What was he thinking? Really? Has the last servant been summoned? Then finally, behind Katamin Kairi, a terrifying figure emerged from the darkness, wearing a simple armor and a heavy western two-handed sword. That's right. This person is actually Assassin. Assassin's identity has never been guessed by other masters. Strangely enough, Assassin in almost every war has this name, as if it is said that the word assassin is derived from the name Hassan or the marijuana hashish he used to brainwash. Assassin's class itself has become a catalyst for summoning Hassan. Therefore, when Assassin is summoned by orthodox procedures, Hassan Saba will definitely appear. But this does not mean that every assassin is a person. Hassan's true identity is Hassan Saba, the leader of the assassination cult, which is the source of Assassin. Hassan, known as the Old Man in the Mountain, has led the cult for many generations. Although the leaders are all called this name, their strengths and abilities are different, and this one is one of them. That's it. I would like to ask you to go to the Tosaka mansion immediately, Katamin Kairi said calmly. Betraying a contract is not a good habit. My master, but considering that this is a life and death war, I will not comment on it. A voice like an evening bell came from under the armor. You don't need to care about this. You don't need to be afraid even if you meet the opponent's servant, Katamin Kairi gave orders calmly. I remember that the servant should be one of the 3 great knights. How confident. Anyway, will you let me go and lie down? Assassin's figure turned into a black mist and dissipated. I leave it to you. Quickly kill Tosaka Tokimi. Black fog gathered outside the courtyard of the Tosaka family. Because the war had already begun, all the magics of this ancient mansion were deployed. The entire mansion was as solid as a fortress under the management of the Tosaka family for hundreds of years. And today, an assassin sneaked into this fortress. Bang! The gate was directly smashed. An assassin, wearing heavy armor and holding a two-handed sword, walked into the courtyard. As he walked, one magic was activated instantly, and a chain effect was created. Magic from all directions hit Assassin in the middle. Boom! Swing the sword. Just a simple swing of the sword, the terrifying power penetrated the two-handed sword, and the terrifying sword pressure crushed everything in front of it like a collapse of the sky. Whether it was magic or unactivated magic, it was turned into ruins under this sword. Ding-ling-ling, A chain shot out from the window of the Toxica family. The chain shone with a golden light, and the ancient words engraved on it shone with mysterious colors. Clang! The great sword and the chain clashed in the air, and the heavy forces of both sides collided in the air. The huge force crushed the air, and the airflow spread toward the periphery. Wang Ha! It's you? A person climbed out of the window and fell into the courtyard. The green long hair symbolizing the life of the earth fluttered in the wind, and chains engraved with the golden inscriptions surrounded him. The white cloak covered his body, and the golden eye seemed to see through everything. In his eyes was disgust for Assassin. According to the way he addressed Assassin, it seemed that he knew Assassin. So you are the son of the mother goddess of creation. I didn't expect to meet you here. Assassin's response further proved that the two of them knew each other. Shua Assassin's words seemed to have caused dissatisfaction among Toxica Tokayami's servants. He frowned, and the chains around him flew, shooting towards Assassin quickly, like an arrow from a bow, as if he had the will to pierce through everything. Clang! Swinging the great sword, the huge two-handed sword was flexible in Assassin's hands. He raised his sword and swung the chains away. Too rude, son of the mother goddess, Assassin said as if scolding. Rude? Despicable Assassin, you are rude. I am the son of the mother goddess of creation and a pure human, Kingu. Despicable Assassin, why don't you report the name of my father? It may be a little difficult to understand, but for Kingu, he believes that his mother and father are the most powerful and greatest, so he is very dissatisfied that Assassin only calls him son of the mother goddess of creation. Either call him Kingu directly, or report the names of both parents. Jingu's words reminded Assassin of some scenes, the battle between two people. Pure human. I apologize for my disrespect just now. Then, Jingu, hand over your head. From the eye sockets of the pale bone skull mask, a faint orchid flame emerged. Assassin took a step forward, grasped the two-handed sword with both hands for the first time, and swung it out. The huge force pressed the air, forming a huge sword pressure that crushed Jingu. I am no longer the person I used to be, Wang Ha. I will not lose to you again. The chains kept shuttling and interweaving around, forming a huge spider web. The sword pressure was divided by the chains and only turned into airflow to spread. Then come. Since I am facing the mother goddess of creation and the son of pure human beings, I have to report my name. Galloping from the valley of the netherworld, the dark death. I am Hassan among the old man Hassan in the mountain. Hassan Saba, Assassin loudly announced his identity. I am the descendant of heaven and earth, gods and men, the supreme mother goddess of creation and the son of the purest purity. I will once again carry out the prestige of my parents. The chains shone with a golden light, and an unexpected battle broke out. The first battle of the Holy Grail War was also completely fought. Although this was a struggle full of surprises, it could not be stopped now. If you want to blame, just blame these two for not being afraid of the command spell. And at this moment, among the countless eyes that are spying, Wang Ha. Jingu. How is it possible, someone who claimed to be a doctor, but was actually the leader of a certain salvation organization, King Solomon who controlled the demon god, and Roman, a worker, screamed incredulously. Xia Yu looked at Roman beside him with a very strange look, and the two people fighting in the mirror. He gently stroked the head of Tiamat who was lying on his lap, and inexplicably had a strange feeling. Xia Yu knew that Roman must know something, but it was not very important. The important thing was, things were becoming more and more interesting. Xia Yu has developed the optimistic character of a villain. This strange Holy Grail War, after the intervention of a mess of monsters, is turning to a weird climax. But at the same time, it is also more interesting. Who will be the final winner? In fact, it is predetermined. Please recommend. Please collect. Please vote for the monthly ticket. Chapter 74 Prologue. Clang! The golden chain was waving like a whip, and the flashing inscriptions exuded terrifying power. This whip was enough to shatter rocks. Assassin took a step forward, waving the two-handed sword in his hand, swinging the chain away like hitting a fly. The chain touched the wall of the Toxica family. At the moment of contact, the solid wall broke like tofu. However, no one would care about this, as it was nothing unusual for them. Go to hell. Jingu pressed his right hand on the ground, and in an instant the entire land was painted golden, and guns and locks emerged from the golden ripples. This was one of his treasures, the wisdom of the people, which was born from the legend that he was the son of the earth. The ability to summon weapons such as guns and locks with the power of the bamboo earth. Guns and locks flashing with golden light drew an arc in the air and fell towards Assassin. Assassin, wearing heavy armor and holding a two-handed sword, continued to move forward step by step, repeatedly breaking the chains sent by Jingu. Boom boom boom, the weapons fell like thunder, and the momentum seemed to blow Assassin's position, the entire front yard of Tosaka, and even the road at the door into smoke. The roar resounded through the sky, and the flashes of continuous explosion seemed to clear the entire night sky. The road seemed to be carpet-bombed by a modern bomber brigade, making it hard to believe that it was just throwing cold weapons such as guns and locks. Under this terrifying bombing, Assassin still held a two-handed sword and stood proudly, but there was no sign of falling down, and it was even unclear whether there were any scars on his body. "Hey, Master! Did you see it?" At this moment, several miles away, on the Fuayuki Bridge, Iskander, also known as Rider, Cavalry, was watching with his master. The first battle of the Holy Grail War was naturally the focus of everyone's attention. Not only them, but also many more servants and masters were watching in secret. They hoped to collect intelligence on the enemy so that they could take targeted measures. The scene of Assassin fighting Kingo just now was seen by many servants. What happened? Of course, some masters could not understand it at all. For example, Rider's master, Waver. Didn't you see it? Just now, the heavily armored beheader held a two-handed sword that looked like a door panel, but used delicate and gorgeous martial arts to resist the attacks coming towards him. How to say it? It was as if the sword instantly split into dozens of swords and formed a sword curtain in front of him, almost resisting most of the attacks. What? The attack just now didn't hide him at all. Waver looked at Rider beside him in disbelief, waiting for his response. That's not the case. It seems that a few hide him in the chaos, but he stood firm and seemed to have no effect. In short, he was a strong enemy. Rider's expression was very serious. He was the famous conqueror Alexander the Great in history. He had seen countless warriors and soldiers, but there were definitely less than 5 who could perform such skills as that man. But, boy, get ready to go. Rider, who was originally on the sidelines, suddenly said. "Hey, aren't we waiting here for them to lose both?" Waver's subconscious reply was also the most normal thought. After all, when the enemies start fighting, they will naturally wait for them to lose both, and then take advantage. Huh? Lose both? I did expect a quick outbreak of conflict, of course. But it would be faster to take them all together than to find them one by one. Rider gave a great speech. Take them all together. Waver looked at him as if he was looking at a fool. Waver knew that his trump card was very powerful, but taking them all together was too much of a pipe dream. That's right, the opportunity to fight heroes from different eras is rare, and there are 6 of them, so of course we can't let any of them go. Take the 2 in front of us, they are both heroes who make people's blood boil. It would be a pity to let them leave now. Rider showed a silly smile, and Waver felt that this guy was going to make trouble again. If we don't let them die, what do we need to do to them? This is a war of mutual destruction. Waver wanted to struggle a little more. Duh! The king's brain exploded and the young military advisor fell on the bridge. After Rider sorted out his housework, he stepped on the ox cart that was peddling thunder. The ox cart roared and the thunder increased dramatically. Woo woo! The domestically abused Waver lay on the bridge and cried. The conductive bridge made him feel sour. Victory but not destruction, domination but not humiliation. This is the real conquest. The battle is over, let's go over to. Boy stupid, 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 you are such a fool. Asshole. The golden ripples under Kingu's hands were brighter, and the attacks this time were even several times more intensive than before, as if he was going to kill Assassin with one blow, but Kingu knew the strength of the man in front of him, and knew that this move could not defeat him. He just wanted to use this to consume Assassin. Please stop, Master Kingu, it would be a mistake to expose the ultimate noble phantasm here. Tosaka Tokiyami's face was extremely ugly. He originally just wanted to play a trick and show off Kingu's strength so that he would not be involved in the initial melee. But he never expected that Kingu actually had a grudge against this strange assassin. He just wanted to put on a show. For this play, it was too wasteful to sacrifice the information of the ultimate noble phantasm and assassin. However, what Tosaka Tokiyami didn't know was, this was not an ultimate noble phantasm, an assassin could not be defeated by it. Now he just wanted to stop the fight. Retreat. Assassin, Katamin Kairei was not very anxious. He seemed to have a poor innate emotional state. He didn't feel anything about the life and death battle between Assassin and Kingu. but he was indeed surprised by Assassin's strength. It was a pity that the two masters were unable to persuade the servants who were already full of fighting spirit. I want to prove my strength to my father. Kingu couldn't hear what Tasakato Kitami said. At this moment, he only had this belief in his mind. Defeat Assassin in front of him, because Assassin in front of him is an enemy recognized by his father. So, if he defeats Assassin, it means he is recognized by his father. An Assassin. To be honest, he didn't take Kingu seriously at all. Although he descended this time with only an ordinary spirit base, he would not lose to any servant just by standing there. And Kingu? Just a child who has not grown up, he is not his opponent. Please recommend. Please vote for the monthly ticket. Chapter 75 Iskandar's appearance. La the cold, clear, tense air was suddenly pierced by a thunderous sound. Everyone inside and outside the battlefield was attracted by the sound and looked up to the southeast sky. The source of the sound was clear at a glance. A flying object was seen crossing a straight line in the sky and heading straight towards this side, sprinkling purple lightning sparks in the night sky. This is a chariot. Judging from its appearance, it is an ancient chariot with two fronts. The chariot shaft is not tied to a warhorse, but a muscular bull with rolling muscles like waves. The bull's hoof stepped on the void, pulling the luxurious and magnificent chariot. The chariot was not simply floating in the air, its wheels rumbled, and the bull's hoof stepped on lightning instead of the earth. Every time the bull's hooves and the chariot stepped on the empty sky, the purple lightning flashed its spider web-shaped tentacles, rolling up the atmosphere with a deafening sound. The magic power of the lightning could rival the attack launched by Kingu and Assassin with all their strength. Only a servant's noble phantasm could be so strange and release such a huge amount of magic power. Without thinking too much, this must be the third servant who wanted to intervene in the duel between Kingu and Assassin, so he appeared. I am Alexander Iskander, the King of Conquerors, and I have come as rider. I ask if you are willing to join my army and give me the Holy Grail. I will definitely regard you as my friends and share the pleasure of conquering the world. Rider, just like when Xia Yu first spied on him, did not hesitate to give his name and declared loudly. The wisdom of the people. Hundreds of attacks that were originally more dense and emitted more terrifying magic fluctuations, no, even thousands of them erupted from the earth, and chains and spears fell like a meteor shower that destroyed the Jurassic. If this move was released, it could cover the entire city and directly clean the surface. At this moment, this terrifying attack was only aimed at Assassin. Bang! Assassin crushed the floor with his feet, raised the two-handed sword in his hand, and the gaps in the armor all over his body gushed out blue flames, which made people unconsciously think of death and soul. The flames climbed up the two-handed sword, accompanied by Assassin's blatant slash. The blue light covered the golden light, and it was like a blow that split the sky and the earth bloomed from Assassin's hand. This was a normal attack, of course. Not only Assassin, Kingu's wisdom of the people was actually just a normal attack. The golden chains collided with the blue flames, and the sky and the earth seemed to be divided into two colors. I think we should run. Waver looked at the godlike power of the two people in front of him and said weakly. He and Ryder were ignored, and Kingu and Assassin's battle continued. The collision between the two caused the space to vibrate, and the terrifying power formed a singularity in the sky. If it exploded, it would be enough to destroy the entire Fuyuki. And an invisible force began to be channeled, and the terrifying energy was released towards the sky. The golden energy and the dark blue flames intertwined to form a pillar that reached the sky. The chain that lost its energy fell freely backwards and hit the house of the Tasaka mansion. Countless magic spells were broken like tofu smashed by a hammer. And most of the Tasaka mansion was directly smashed. This is a chain that gathers the power of God and the wisdom of man. It penetrates the earth and the sky, and the Tasaka mansion is naturally smashed easily. A certain elegant family owner stood on the second floor, looking at the room next to him that had disappeared half, and fell into deep thought. Despicable assassin, Jingu took off directly like a spring, and his body was like an arrow from a string, and his speed exceeded 10 times the speed of sound in an instant. No use of force in front of this king. Ryder pulled the reins of the bull, and the chariot started running fast. Violent thunder was generated from the bull's hooves, and the treasure representing the concept of thunder rushed out. Hey, hey, hey. What are you doing? Originally, Waver wanted to run away when he saw that the two servants in front of him were so powerful and ignored them, but he didn't expect Ryder to suddenly rush out. Kingu frowned, and a metallic luster appeared on his arms, and his body turned quickly. This sudden troublemaker was indeed unexpected by Kingu. As for whether Assassin would attack by surprise at this time? Haha. Kingu knew him well. After all, they had been opponents for a period of time. Although he was called a despicable assassin, this guy actually liked to charge head-on. Moreover, even if it was a sneak attack, Kingu was not afraid. His feet sank into the ground, and his hands pressed down on the bull pulling the chariot. The thunder condensed under the bull's feet made the road burn black, and the impact brought by the bull's advance hit Kingu head-on. The huge impact force was transmitted to the ground through the Kingu, and the constantly cracked bricks proved that they were not from the same family as the ones used by Ryudo Temple. Hey, hey, hey. That's too much, Waver shouted in disbelief. Although he knew that servants were incredibly strong, as someone who had experienced the speed of the chariot on the chariot, Kingu's posture of relying on brute force to take it was still too much. Hey, hey. You are not a berserker, Ryder asked in shock. Berserkers are generally the ones with the best basic attributes, and their basic functions are enhanced by frenzy. Ryder naturally knows more about the power of this chariot than Waver. It is an anti-military treasure. Although it has not been released now, just driving like that is enough to smash a small mountain. He actually wanted to force Kingu to dodge, but he didn't expect to be taken in like this. How with Kingu's lifting, the two sacred cows were directly lifted up, and the chariot was directly lifted up. Weber was accidentally discovered by Newton, and his body left the chariot directly due to the effect of gravity. While Ryder was driving the chariot and adjusting the direction, he grabbed Weber, who was discovered by Newton, and held him tightly. After a burst of wolf howling from Weber, the chariot was adjusted and fell to the side. What do you mean? Kingu frowned, looking at the burly man driving the chariot. He was very dissatisfied with this sudden troublemaker. Oh. It's so scary. This power, standing on the chariot, Ryder looked solemnly at Kingu, who fell not far in front of him. At the moment of the fight, he felt an unmatched power, which was at least one level higher than his. Because Weber's qualifications as a master were not outstanding, his major attributes were lower after he descended, and his strength was only B level. According to his judgment at the moment he just made a move, the strength of the enemy in front of him was at least A, or even higher. Please recommend. Please collect. Please vote for the monthly ticket. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.